And welcome everybody to the Seiya Cosmocast. I'm your host Ramses. Per usual, I am not alone here. I have Benjas,
Hello, everybody.
and of course, I have Kamen Rider Furry.
That's me. Wow.
Um, so, so I thought, I know this is kind of a weird recording. When you see this episode, we had something originally planned. We were gonna look at the last couple of episodes from what was it 55 to 58. So we were gonna look at those from the original series, but something happened. I won't specifically talk about what happened just yet. And the thing was, this affects everything I've done. Like, this is everything I had already planned and everything like that. I had to throw us all away for some new plans, and this is sort of like the new plan that we're doing here. We're gonna do this recording, and basically we're just gonna go over the news, and then we were originally gonna have when we had some time off, we were gonna have some interviews with other people like from the fandom. Unfortunately, because of the circumstances that happened with me and my family, I have to now take whatever I have left and just splice it into this episode. So there's going to be an interview with the Doceava Casa. They're amazing hosts. They are very nice and very, very wonderful, and it's so good to hear them from someone outside of our sphere. It's so talking to people from Argentina who were big fans. Talk to us in English about this stuff, and just talking about their experiences and all that stuff. So it's a really good interview. I'm really proud of it, and I'm really happy to have interviewed them for this show. So, I was going to keep this secret, but unfortunately, again, this was circumstances beyond my own control. I had to put it into this episode. So, secondly, I want to say that originally, as planned as well, there was going to be one more episode that we were going to record in December. And we were going to take a longish break. We're going to take about a 1 month break, and we were going to put in all these episodes. Like I said, we were going to put in that interview with splicing with other things that we were going to have. But thanks to time constraints with other people, and also we just couldn't find other people get the whole in time, and then I dumped something that I should not have dumped. I now have to put everything I had planned on hold and put this. Unfortunately, we are going to take a short hiatus right after this episode. We're going to be taking about a month's hiatus. If something breaks, we will convene as soon at earliest convenience, because I do know for a fact that December is just horrible, like all of us. Just it's gonna be like hell and back. It's gonna be like hell with trying to get gifts, or working extra hours or whatever. So I completely understand. Understand the circumstances about why it's going to be very difficult to record something in December. So we're going to take a break in December. And like I said, there's no shows whatsoever going to be in December, unfortunately. So we're just going to fly by the seat of our pants and just hope that nothing big happens till then. So yeah. So we were discussing this for a while too, because I said look, December it's just going to be a hectic. We're now. You guys work, I don't, but I don't want to intervene, and I'll intervene in what you guys are doing, especially it's December, and I'd rather you guys spend your time with the family or with people you love. So yeah. And lastly, I have to discuss something that happened last week.
Can I say something before we move on to that real quick? Do you mind?
On
what we were talking about before. This is just because I hear it in your voice. It's not Ramsey's fault, 100%. We all had stuff come up in our personal lives, and I mean it's just that time of year. But on top of that, extra things are happening, and I know that Ramses is the type of person to take the lead and to take the fall. But it's all three of us have stuff going on. It's nobody's fault. So Ramses, to you, just please don't blame yourself, and I don't think anybody else would, but on the off chance, nobody blame Ramsey for this either. If this is shocking or upsetting, but this, like he said, this has been in the plans for a while. We just having to speed it up a little bit. Unfortunately, we're all fine. We're all gonna make it through this, and it's the holiday season, so that just kind of makes everything's 100 times more intense than it needs to be. But everything will end up okay. I have good faith.
Yeah, that's right. Like we are gonna be fine. Just quite a few things I think that for everybody outside of our control happened during this period, but we just need a little bit of time to cool off, and we will come back stronger than ever next
Mhm.
year.
I heard that kind of you taking the fall, and it's not your fault, and I don't want you to be, not that this situation requires a fall guy, but I don't want that to land on you. Like, we all have stuff going on, and we're all here for each other, and our listeners are here for us, so everything's gonna be good. We'll take a month or so break, and we'll come back strong.
Yeah, like I said, it's nothing. And maybe I should have phrased it more differently. Where it's like it's stuff beyond our own control, and that it just circumstances beyond my own control. Like not even no one's control. It like no matter like even no one in this room, this virtual room, no matter no one in this, no one no one in the fandom, no one anything could have predicted what happened. It is something personal. Again, if you want to find out, I will find me on whatever social medias, and I'm more than welcome to, because I'm like that. Like I'm cool just laying it all out. But here, I want to keep it positive, or at least try to keep some sort of resemblance of positivity, or at least some sort of like environment of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get the one more semi-negative thing out of the way, and then there's a lot of fun, positive stuff for us to talk about.
All right, one last thing. If you may have noticed last week, the website went down. This is less of a like a sad thing and more like I just want to punch a wall type of thing. It's like literally I was trying to I wanted to like look over some information just for information's sake, just so I can remember things for like next episode. And next one thing led to another, and Tumblr said that I've been banned. And literally the entire weekend I was back and forth between them. And then I think immediately that Monday they came back to me like, "Oops, we did a mistake. Our bad." And I'm like, "Could have just told me this back. Like, you could have told me this back. You could have told me this back in Saturday morning, and we could have easily been done with all this." But oh well. But I will say
Told us
this.
before we went into damage control mode.
No, but I will say this. This was beneficial too for another reason. We do now have a backup plan. We do have a backup place in case of an emergency. We do have backups in place. So, again, the website's still active. www.scosmocast.com. That's still valid. In the off chance that like this happens again, if by some snafu or some whatever reason, the site has to go. There is going to be a place where we can dump everything and have everything there for you to have access. So at least have everything there so you can access the show from there as well. So yeah, I know it's been a lot. I know we were damage control all this time, but like I felt like it's just like when it happens, like it's like it happens so quick, everything, and it kind of stressed me out. I'm not gonna lie, it stressed me out a lot.
No. No, it didn't. I couldn't tell. I'm sorry. I'm just picking at you.
That's fine, but yeah, I mean, it's fun. Like I understand, and I do appreciate all the support from people who are giving me advice and telling me where to go, especially Benjas and YouTube. Kamen Rider Furry, you guys were telling me on places where we can do things, and hey, I took a lot of your advices, and like there's safeguards in place just in case. So just in like that off chance something were to happen again like that, like there is going to be safeguards in place. So that's the good news.
Yeah, it's always better to be prepared because it's stuff like this that we never, like, nobody expects things like that to happen, but sometimes they come in the worst possible moments.
Yeah, it came at like the worst possible time for like I think all of us. Also, like this is like just continuation of like follies from like last week. Now just like it was like stuff that was stuff like okay, fine, whatever, we can walk this off. But like, now we're at a point where it's like now this is kind of things where it's like okay, this is now getting to the point where we cannot like stuff that like it's real world things. It's stuff that like we cannot fix at this point. That now it's time to take effect. But like I said, let's be positive let's be positive here. Like I said, like we have some. We're not gonna completely leave you completely down on the dumps on a lot of things. Like I said, I'm thankful. I'm blessed to have you guys on the team. I'm blessed to have the fans listening to the show. I'm blessed to having everybody that's currently like doing stuff with the show as well, like spinning around. I do really appreciate that as well. And like I said, later on in the show we're gonna be discussing some other things as well because like we were originally gonna have like a bigger blowout, but instead we're just gonna like look, let's just talk about our 2022 and the fandom and stuff like that, and just in the end we'll have our proper goodbyes. But for now, let's talk about some cool things. Let's talk about toys. Let's talk about merchandising. Let's talk about things that require require us to like transfer money to other things to acquire other things. So
that was overly complex for no reason.
I know. But well, we had the.
Speaking of like the things that have been popping out, all this series of events can cause quite a bit of stress on one person. And a lot of people deal with stress in different ways. Some like to go to the park and feel the fresh air. Some like to throw themselves into a book. And some just like to throw their worries away with a nice blend of alcohol. Which lead us into our first bit of news, which is that the Nagahama Distillery is going to be releasing, with a collaboration with Saint Seiya, a whiskey, apparently called the Gold Saint Whiskey Series, and the first one being with Ayoros.
I'm not a whiskey. I get mean when I drink whiskey. Like I don't really drink anymore anyway. I've maybe drank twice in the past 3 months. Like ever since I got sick and I couldn't drink anymore, I've tried to like socially drink, and I don't enjoy it as much as I used to. I'm also getting old as hell, so that's probably something to do with it. But I'm kind of excited that they're doing Saint Seiya alcohol. Like it's very rare that properties grow up like kids properties grow up with their fan base, and Saint Seiya has attempted to do that in a couple different facets. I mean, $300 figures is one of those. But whiskey is something that I never saw coming. I would love to get my hands on it. I doubt that I will, because I have exactly one connection in Japan, and shipping alcohol is a nightmare. So probably won't ever get to try it. But on the off chance that when I finally do get to go to Japan, if it's still around, I'm gonna find some.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like when I saw this news, it was like, this is so cool. But this really does look like one of those items that we are not probably going to be able to get very easily. Like for figures and stuff like that, books, even pictures, or like even more valuable things like cells. I mean, technically speaking, you can just pass that out just as like a picture or an image. But alcohol and foods are a complete different story. So it's a shame that we're not gonna get this. I mean, I'm not a drinker myself. I do drink from time to time, and I do like whiskey. But it is one of those things that I see and it's like, damn, I wish I could have this on my distillery just for the sake of looking at it. I'm not even gonna drink it. I just want to look at it.
Yeah, I was going to say this. I was going to say the same thing too. Which is like, unfortunately, due to circumstances, the theme of this episode. The circumstances beyond my own control. I cannot drink anymore. But I would love to just have it as like a display piece. It's like, hey, I got Saint Seiya whiskey right here.
Yeah,
hey, I can't drink it, but hey, you guys, I can pop this in for you guys if you guys want to try it out. But like, it's like stay here but you guys have to like stay here like where we're at for like the rest of the night and stuff like that. Because like, do it responsibly. Like I said, if you guys want me to pop it up for you guys are more than welcome to. Just don't run, just at least let me keep the bottle.
That's what I was about to say. Like, if you know somebody in Japan, or if you know the right secondhand like auction websites to look at for proxy shipping and stuff, you could probably get the bottle in the box, because those are like the statement pieces. If you're not a drinker, what I used to do back when I was younger and drank a lot more, I would like fill. I forget exactly how you do it. You can like fill part with water and part with like rubbing alcohol, and then put like a highlighter into it and make it like your own custom color. Like if you want it to be green, or if you want it to be gold for it being a gold saint, or red for like the under part of the armor because the label's gold or whatever, you can do that and just be a display piece. That would look kind of cool. Like that might be an idea.
Yeah, there's various options. And like I said, I think it's a lot easier for me because I live in a part of the world where that kind of stuff is a little bit more accessible. I doubt I can find it, but if I find it, I will buy it. Yeah, again, if even though I can't drink it, it'll just still be on my wall. It'll still be on my display case, or still be on display somewhere. It's still gonna be like something like, hey, you want to see something cool? Saint Seiya whiskey, baby. I don't know what's
if I ever get to come visit, I'll just drink it and you won't even notice.
Exactly, but then you realize, hey, wait a minute, this is apple cider.
Shit.
But you know that the funny thing is they've only announced this so far, but it says Gold Saint Whiskey series. So are they going to be releasing more variants with the different Gold Saints with the 12 of them?
You
Only thing I was
almost
gonna ask.
overreplaced an Aldebaran one.
I was gonna say
I mean,
one of the things I was gonna ask, and since you also brought up the fact that it was gonna be a series, it's like, does each of them have are each of them have like a different kind of flavor?
that's actually that's what I was wondering because at first I thought that maybe like it would be a good idea to do that if it's a distillery, maybe do that with different types of alcohol. Like it's a stupid idea, but imagine having like an Aquarius Camus vodka bottle, or
It's Camus. It's like soju. I'm like, ooh, that's my
yeah,
weakness right there. That's my weakness right there, man. Just like if you want to see if you back in my days, back when I was a little younger, I used to like go through that by the bottle. I got up with that stuff. I can't
yeah.
anymore. I can't anymore.
That's a shame. I mean, I don't drink that often anymore, even though I probably can't do it as much as I used to do it. But yeah, it's a shame, guys. But growing up can be a bit of a pain.
Yeah, when you get old, like appreciate what you guys got now because then your stamina and your willpower just like to do these type of things just start to fail really hard. So, but yeah, I mean, yeah, that would be interesting. If it's gonna either be like other types of like it's gonna be other types of whiskey, like it's like the bear is like aged with like with a bit of I don't know what would be what would be good for him, like say that has like a little bit of spice to it, like it has like cinnamon to it or something like that, or or with like Camus, it's like they have a little they have like it's like it's aged with like something that's cool and refreshing, something like that. It doesn't go down as like hard as a regular whiskey would. And it would play up to like different characters. Like for example, also like Milo's would be like his like since his Scarlet Needle like hits you like with a direct hit. It's like it hits you like right away with like whatever you're drinking. And then, or for example, like Shaka, it's like it's very blissful, very calming. So it's not a very strong flavor or very strong, like it's not that strong in the alcohol, but it's like really like soothing, stuff like that.
It would be cool. Like we're probably gonna have to wait a little to see if they announce more of them as time passes. But it would be an interesting thing. Like it would be a nice thing to have as a collection, or just drink it and keep the bottles.
Any final thoughts, Kamen Rider Furry?
I really hope that I can find it one day. Is all I will say because this is the kind of novelty shit that I absolutely love. Like, why is Saint Seiya on whiskey? Who knows? Just grow with it. Just take it. Just go. Like that's the kind of merchandising I like. Like sock advent calendars. Like, why do those exist? I don't know, but I'm gonna buy 40 of them. Like, just the weird merchandise is what I like. So this is up my alley.
All right. So after that, we did have a Tamashii Nation show that we need to discuss, and oh boy, there's a lot of things that we need to discuss because I thought they were gonna announce like one or two things, but no, they went and did a lot more than I thought they would. So Benjas, why don't you break it down for us?
Alrighty. Well, to put into context, recently the Tamashii Nation's 2022 event just happened in Japan, which is like a huge figure and collectible event where a lot of different companies announce different merchandise that they're going to be releasing, more inclined towards figures for different series, for different properties. When it comes to Saint Seiya and Bandai, it's always been like the event where all the news for new figures of Saint Seiya, specifically talking about the ones from Bandai, get showcased quite a bit. And contrary to what most people believe, because the previous Tamashis, like due to all the world events and stuff like that, it was somewhat normal that we didn't really get that many or exciting news. But this one actually has quite a few surprises. First of all, they revealed that there is going to be for the EX Mythcloth series, there's going to be a revival for Death Mask. Remember, revival is the term that they use when they re-release a figure. They put it in new stock. However, usually they tend to give a couple of touches on those figures. Usually they correct maybe some of the some of the coloring errors that they might have had with the original release. Sometimes they release it with new additions. In this case, the one for Deathmask is going to include a new face that's kind of like it has the eyes closed and it's supposed to be like him suffering. Like it's a weird face, but that's the new addition that this particular figure is going to be having.
I think one another thing they announced is like these, because there's actually quite a few other revivals they announced, and what they announced is that they're gonna actually have a part of their temple as a diorama.
Yeah, but that was like this. They did tend to do that for the showcases. Like it looks amazing. Like they had a diorama, as Ramses was saying, they had a diorama of the 12 gold saints, each protecting their temple and going up all the way to Athena's statue. But it's like kind of on the fence. Sometimes they have released like props for the Mythcloth series. Like I know that they've done that in the past. They did not confirm or showcase that they were going to be releasing that as separate merchandise. Hopefully they will. Like those types of sets, they always look gorgeous, but I have my doubts on that. But we'll have to wait and see. Then afterwards, they also revealed for the normal Mythcloth series, the original one, they're going to be doing a revival for Misty. Misty is one figure that from like I didn't know this. I've only recently like learned stuff like this, but apparently like when it came out, it was a very controversial figure because the detail on the original Mythcloth figure for Misty was very bad. Like his original face was not good. A lot of people actually were comparing the one showcase with this revival with the previous one. And they were making the mistake of showcasing the figures with the appendix. Like they released an appendix which was only the torso for the figure, but you could change those parts onto the Mythcloth. And that's how what a lot of people did. They bought the appendix, which was much better than the original the sculpture of the face, and they put that on their figure so that it actually looked decent. But the original one apparently was very very controversial because it was really bad, the quality of it.
Question about I don't know if you have this top of your head or not, but when was the original Misty release? Was it like still in that initial period of the Mythcloth, or was this like in that midpoint?
I don't have that on the top of my head because to be honest, I never really kept up too much with the release of those figures. Like I've never really collected them until like I only had a couple of them, and only now do I have an interest on getting the EX series, but it must have been like midway. I don't think that it got released, like because they always give priority to the most popular characters, the protagonist, the Gold Saints, in this case the villains of Hades, the Poseidon. Like those characters tend to be made first before going to the side characters, so to speak. So it must have like I'm pulling this year out of my sleeve, but probably between 2009 2012, like in that time frame, I would assume.
Yeah, because the thing was, if you've seen any of the early Mythcloth figures, oh man, they are homely. I don't know if you're familiar with that term. Homely is just ugly as sin. They have huge enormous heads. They have like big baby heads for no reason whatsoever, and they look absolutely nothing like how like the figure, how the actual toy looks. But like at the time, it was fine. At the time it was fine. Also because of the fact that it was 3,000 yen. Nowadays it costs up to like upwards to like 9,000 yen. So yeah, you're go on.
I was just gonna say, and to be fair, when those figures originally released in 2003, 2004, when they started coming out, yeah, they look ugly as shit. But in their defense, compared to the previous versions, which were the Saint Cloth series, the smaller ones, it was like a world of difference in terms of detail. Like it was still kind of very, very far away from the quality that they have achieved now, but it was like a jump in quality compared to what was before. I mean, and those figures were still pretty good, but they were very basic. And the Mythcloth series coming out, they were also basic as well, and they kept improving with time.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
I was just saying, it's so hard in the moment to realize that it can get better than what it is. It's just like when you see the memes of the people that are like, man, when the PS1 came out, I didn't think graphics could get any better. And then it shows you a screenshot of like PS1 graphics. It's the same kind of thing because I mean, I went through that personally with Kamen Rider with the SH Figure Arts. I thought that they were amazing, and compared to American toys that were out at the time, like American action figure style, like posable jointed toys, they were amazing. But looking back at some of my like Agito, people make fun of how I say Agito, my Agito ones or like the Kuga ones or something like that, like the early 2000s ones. They look like garbage. They
Yeah.
look like hot garbage, mama. But I mean, like back then, that was mind blowing. So I figure it was the same thing. I did not collect myth cloth. Well, I say I didn't collect myth cloths back then. I don't collect myth cloths now because I'm not rich. But you know what I mean. Like it's you only know what you know at the time. So I'm sure at the time those look great. Like kind of like what Benjas was saying.
Yeah, and that's what I was wondering because it's like usually those first run of those a lot of that first run, especially like those like the early to mid characters, which are like the first 12 Gold Saints, the original five, and their secondary clocks, and a few other characters here and there. Like I think they had a few other I think they had like a few other I think they had a few other Silver Saints as well, but not like right now. Like we're in knee deep in that. We have our catalog of characters and the process of making these figures have been streamlined, so like they look a little bit more accurate to how they were before then. So yeah, and I remember seeing that picture of like the comparison shot between the first release, the appendix release, and then like this hopefully this release, and it's like three different. It's like you're looking at like three different figures altogether.
I will say that outside of Aldebaran, because he's my all-time favorite Seiya character, Misty would be the second one that I would want. But I'm terrified of how much the thing is going to cost. So I don't want to look and make myself look sad I don't want to look and make myself sad because I did that already once this week by looking at some old Integrity toys and nope.
The
All right.
meat cloths. Okay, we can probably do an estimate on this because I actually relating to this very particular topic and talking about the quality itself. That's actually one of the things that, well, as like just like Toy gets very much criticized on our behalf and on behalf of many others for some of the corners they caught and some of the things that they decide to save money upon. Bandai is something of the same kind to its product, which is usually the toys. And that actually brings me back to something that is related to also to the news of the figures coming out and also to the topic of the quality of the figures, because you would expect that by this point they would make flawless figures. They have proven that they can do that. And one figure that is relatively recent, it's still not released, but it's going to be releasing in November actually. So I suppose that it should be releasing anytime soon. It's the myth cloth for Babel. He is going to be coming out just recently. He hadn't been released prior to that, but there was a lot of controversy because his face looks very similar in quality to the original myth cloths.
Oh no.
Yeah, so that was like one point that was super heavily criticized by all the people that I watched that review Myth Cloths and Myth Cloth EX series figures. Like everybody was pissed off at the quality of his face, and I see the pictures and I can see it, maybe not to that degree of criticism, but definitely you can see that 2005 vibes coming from him.
Oh lord. Like the first dry one, like we'll fix it later. We'll fix it later with another revival version.
Which is like the argument is fair. It's unacceptable that at this point they don't put like the effort or the investment to get the features right if they know that they can do it, because that ends up hindering sales, because nobody's going to want the figure if it doesn't look well.
What character did you say it was?
Babel, Centauri Babel.
The guy with the discus.
No. That's oh god, that what's
a century something.
That's Auriga Capella. That's Auriga Capella. Do you remember the guy that fought Hyoga in the Colosseum when the Steel Saints first appear?
Oh yeah.
Him.
Yeah, I looked up. So, do you just as theorying, because we will never know? Do you think that because he's not a super I don't want to say he's not a super anticipated character, because I really don't know. I'm not a part of the toy aspect as much of this fandom, but I can't imagine that he's super anticipated except for people that are like Silver Saint completionists. Do you think that they cut corners because they don't think that he's going to be a big seller?
Hey, probably. I mean, if I were, like, I'm not somebody that's too versed into this particular topic either. Like, I would not, I would don't take my word for anything. Like, there are people with much more knowledgeable information on this topic than me. But from my perspective, yeah, I would not be surprised if Bandai did that because it's kind of like they are doing this more like because they know they're gonna sell. People that are very into collecting Saint Seiya stuff will get him just for the sake of completing the series of the Silver Saints. And under normal circumstances, if the figures were a little cheaper, I definitely would try to get them. But yeah, it's I do think that it is one of those things that because it's not a main character, they tend to cut corners and stuff like that.
Yeah, not a
No,
main character or like a fan favorite type of character.
Yeah,
you,
and
you gotta you gotta realize one thing for you, and this is and you just mentioned something about this earlier. This is Bandai we're talking about, and Bandai are notorious being like, okay, let's release this figure, this figure like regularly, and we'll relegate this guy to like as like a the Bandai premium thing because like we know this is not gonna sell, but you can tell like there's like those hard. You can tell like there's those diehards. These guys are like, why are you putting this guy on? Why are you putting this guy like as like a? Why are you putting this guy as a P Bandai release? Why are you doing this? Like they're just like that small handful. That small handful
Well,
that just
I'm used to the other way around, to be honest with you, because a lot of times with Kamen Rider is probably where in like the Japanese sphere where I am like the most in tune with the toys and the collectors and everything. And with Kamen Rider, a lot of times they'll take a main character and put them on P Bandai because they know people will buy them anyway. Like it'll be one of the like main five and they'll be like, this one for no reason whatsoever. We just drew the name out of a hat. They're going to be on P Bandai, and they're going to be twice as much as the regular figures are for no reason. And you
also,
have to go to Japan to get it.
I also feel like, for example, but the thing is, this is kind of a weird situation because like with Kamen Rider, they just don't anticipate who's going to be popular or not sometimes. Like
You cannot you. So I need to double check before I say this. So go ahead and say what you're going to say because I don't want to sound stupid.
Because I do know for a fact for like certain characters they did do that practice and they underestimated the fact that like this character is way too popular and they just decided to like just make it like another release where like this the same figure was just was made into mass retail.
Okay, I was right. So I Googled it. So it's been a couple years, so I want to make sure I didn't misremember. So you're telling me that Sabella, who is the only girl from Kamen Rider Saber, they had to know that she was going to be popular. Like there's no way, and the fact that the figure arts came out like months and months after she had debuted, I think it actually came out after the show actually ended because Bandai is so slow at getting figures out, especially if they're not the main character. But you can't look me in the face and tell me that they did not think that the only girl who was played by a very cute actress, by the way, would not be popular because you've got a bunch of sexually active young folk, as the most politically accurate I could put that without saying the H word. And then you've got girls that are trying to find themselves in the show too. And this is a badass, like, she literally beats up half the cast on a regular basis. You can't tell me that they didn't do that on purpose. They knew she was going to be popular, and so they put her on there and charged double for no reason.
I was
Bandai,
thinking
you make me angry.
I was thinking Kuroto Dan from X-Aid, where it's like they underestimated Glen's popularity, and
Yeah.
then they it was later on they're like, shit, we need to actually release this figure as a mass retail instead, and we got Dangerous Zombie Double X, and then we got his actual human form as like an incentive to like as a regular release because like they were like they were like Bandai was like just blindsided by his popularity. That's the character I was thinking of.
Yeah. I just Bandai in general, like with premium Bandai, just if you're going to put something on premium Bandai, make it so that at least international people can get it. And they've gotten a little
Yeah,
bit better about that. Some of the stuff now is on international, but it's mostly like the smaller stuff, like the t-shirts or the card binders or the Digimon V pets. Those are already starting to come to retailers anyway, but they're not putting the stuff that we want on there. Like make it available to everybody. Stop like and this might be getting way too off topic, but Japan has always been kind of isolationist in that kind of way. Like they used to gatekeep their music, they used to gatekeep a lot of their TV shows. Anime took forever to start regularly coming out here. This has been a known thing, but like it's 2022 not to get super political, but like they saw what happened when they stopped exporting and stopped allowing in tourism and that kind of stuff. So I mean, just give us our stuff. we want to give you money. Just give it to us.
Okay, final. Let me put a final like. Let me put like a final thing. Let me say my final thoughts on this, and we can move on because I'm pretty sure Benjas is like just like what the fuck are you guys talking about?
No,
But,
no, I completely understand. I don't know. I'm not familiar with Kamen Rider, but I understand the sentiment. Trust me.
But but I will say this: they've been getting a lot better. They've been actually been releasing a lot of the model kits and a lot of the stuff of actual premium Bandai like SHP arts and stuff like that. They've been releasing those on the premium Bandai US stuff. So they've been doing good on that end. And they've also been releasing a little bit more esoteric stuff. I'm actually looking at it right now, and they're actually releasing the card ass stuff of Dragon Ball Z. I'm like, whoa, that takes me back.
They have a really nice card set for One Piece on there right now. I think it's still available on there right now. It's like pink. Yeah. And so it's got all of the cast on it. It's for like the 25th or 30th anniversary.
25th anniversary.
Yeah, something like that. But it looks really, really nice. Is my point. Like there's stuff on P Bandai that's worth getting. I just wish that it wasn't so segmented. Like it might be a distribution thing that I think it's like a manufacturing thing that I don't have any idea about. But from our perspective, it just looks like they're keeping all the cool stuff for themselves, and that's annoying.
I want to say, and that was my point. I think some of this stuff is not because of like their gatekeeping or the distribution stuff. I think the reason why they're doing a lot, they have to not sell it is because of right issues.
Well, and again, I keep making this conversation longer, so I'm sorry. I just know a lot about this topic. Another thing is that Japan is a very what's the word I'm looking for? Like they're very economical. And that's why a lot of Japanese collectibles are pre-order only. Like you have to pre-order them 6 months in advance or you won't get one because they don't want them to be sitting on shelves. They don't want to be filling up landfills with these things. They don't have as much land mass as the United States to have like landfills and like dump sites and stuff like that. So they're very conscious about like recycling and not overproducing stuff. So that could also be a part of it is that if they open it up to the world, then they could potentially be left with like canceled pre-orders and stuff and just stock sitting in a warehouse deteriorating. That could also be it. It could be a lot of things. I didn't mean to go on an anti-Japan rant there. I obviously love so many things about Japan, but
Oh, and also this also kind of tangentially goes with what we're talking about as well, but it kind of in a weird roundabout way. But continue on. Yeah, go on, please.
Just my final thoughts to close that particular topic is that unfortunately, like it's not about throwing shade at Japan itself. It's just that unfortunately that type of mentality passes on to the way that they deal with business internationally, and that ends up affecting us because the products that we receive, because sometimes they're very close-minded about the way that they handle things. They tend to overlook things, they tend to ignore things, or they tend to be very centered only in their market, but ignoring the other market that they're also. I mean, if you told me, okay, we only sell this in Japan and in Japan only, okay, that's fine because you're only looking at this market. But if you're gonna deal with international business, then you need to not look at just your market. You need to look at the market that you're trying to get your stuff outside to. So yeah, it's kind of like they end up biting. Biting their own tail on that regard sometimes. And okay, to finally close this topic and to give you an idea, Kamen Rider Furry, as well as the listeners, as to more or less how much like the normal mid-cloth might be costing in like Babel is supposed to be releasing in Japan at 12,100 yen, which in the currency converter that I have here says that it's about $87.
Really? I thought they would be much more expensive than that.
Because this is the normal mid-cloth series, and also it's not like one of the it's not one of like the main characters. So maybe Misty will be coming at around a similar price. Hopefully that is. I mean, take into consideration like importing costs and taxes and stuff like that. So it might end up being higher, but that's the price that it's going to be releasing at Japan, at least for this figure.
Okay, so if I'm putting this out there to the universe, and for my 2023 goals, if Misty releases around that price, I will buy Misty and I will recreate the ocean bath scene. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Tastefully. Have the little light flares and everything.
All right, like we'll continue on because you have most of the information there, Ben, because like around like on in you, and you have a little bit more you have a little bit more insight as to what's going on with these figures. So Let's continue on with the myth cloth discussion.
Okay, speaking of normal Mythcloth and Silver Saints, another figure that has not released yet and that was only shown in a prototype previously, I think it was in 2009 the first time that it appeared. Don't quote me on that, but around that time. The Mythcloth for Whale Moses. I think he's one of the fewer ones that still have not been released from the Silver Saints, and the one that they presented in this Tamashii Nations, the pictures that I saw, it looks gorgeous. Like Moses is not a particularly I don't want to discriminate him, but I don't think that he's the most beloved character. Like he's a fine character, but he's not like he doesn't really do much in the overall grand scheme of things. So like it's kind of like a double-edged sword. On the one hand, his figure looks amazing, but he's not a character that most people would go out of their way to get. But looking at the quality of him, like this is actually a figure that I would actually mind getting just for having the sake of the collection. So it's out there. They haven't given a release date yet, but they showed him again and in much better detail. So it looks like they finally listened, and hopefully, if there are still any other characters in that vein that they might want to release on the Mythcloth series, hopefully they give that amount of detail to them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that comes, I think, the first of the big news for what comes next, which would be the announcement. It had already been teased, but now we finally saw the Fekdator EX Mythcloth figure, which makes him the next one in the God Warriors series of figures for the EX, for the exclamation series. He's going to be coming out, and he looks fantastic. And the thing about him that is that this particular figure is going to keep in. He's going to follow the lore, and he's going to be like a giant compared to the other figures. And putting like in the stand, they had him fighting. I think it was Seiya and Shun. Well, Seiya, he was definitely fighting. You can see that the difference in size. Like a normal Mythcloth figure, like an EX figure, is about.
Yeah, I'm looking at the picture right now. Yeah, he's fighting Shun and Seiya in the display.
Yeah, his normal Mythcloth EX figures are about 6 to 7 inches in size, so he's probably going to be like between 9 and 10, more or less.
Okay, so like that's so 6-7 inches. That's your average action figure size. Like that's if you're to say like what's the bog standard standard issues action figure size, I always say 6 inches.
Yeah, so Thor.
Just for the record, I wasn't laughing at 6 to 7 inches. I was laughing because I remembered that Moses' name was changed to Morris in the dub, and that just made me laugh. It made me think of who is Morris. Sorry. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, well, that's that. The figure for Thor, it's going to be much bigger than the regular Mythcloth EX figure, so it's going to keep in line with the lore in the show.
Yeah, I remember when they originally released the original figure, what they actually had to do to keep them in package, to keep the packaging size. They actually had to I believe it had either detachable legs, or it was packaged like him, like with his knees folded inward. So in order to keep him in that same packaging design. So yeah, it's like they always since the very beginning, ever since they released these Saint Seiya figures, they've always tried to keep Thor to that same scale to like all the other figures, which means like he's like a good like 4 or 5 inches on the other characters.
Yeah, that's it's a good thing, because they having him being like normal size would feel wrong. So I'm glad they're gonna keep that aspect of the character intact.
Yeah.
Okay. Afterwards, from Thor, we pass on to the next new things that we already knew that these were going to come out, but it's nice actually seeing the prototypes and seeing all of them together. Like the latest of the protagonists to have been released in the final cloth version was Shun, but now we knew that Hyoga and Iki were going to be coming out. But we finally saw the prototypes in place. Like you can see the pictures of the Tamashii Nations where all of the 5 of them are standing together wearing their final bronze cloths, and they look fantastic, man. The detail for both Hyoga and for Iki, they look gorgeous. Like they look really gorgeous.
Iki especially, he kind of caught me off guard because like there's details on him that I didn't even know he had. For example,
Go on.
I was gonna say like there's like some orange bits on him that's like he has those bits and blue bits on it as well. Like I did not notice that he had until like I saw the actual figure itself. I was like, oh, that's actually very clever. that they actually put in those details. Those are details I would never ever notice on these figures. You can see like I didn't notice like the blue parts were like separated in his belt, and like that part kind of like caught me off guard.
Yeah, and you know what the cool thing about Iki is, like from my perspective, is because I have the B2 EX figure, which is I think one of the first ones that came out. The details in all of them are fantastic. Like they're the closest that they have been to the anime, but somehow they keep improving them. I mean, if you look at the face of Iki compared to the previous version, you can see the difference in quality. You can see a much better a much closer resemblance, I think that's the best way to put it, to the actual character in animation. So it's like it just looks amazing.
Not just that, I do appreciate the fact that it's like, they added more articulation, and they freed up a lot more articulation points to give it, so you can actually do a lot more with the figure than before.
Is this the same one, the same version of the cloth that the Anime Heroes figure is?
No, the anime figures will be the one that came before this. This is the one he gets in Hades.
Okay. I get them mixed up a lot. Call me a fake fan if you want to, but they changed some smaller. Once they get rid of the full helmets for everybody, the details that they change become more minor for what I pay attention to. So it just looks really similar to the figure. I don't have it. I usually have them on my desk to fidget with while I'm working, but I moved my office around a while back, and I'm not sure where I placed him. So I was going to compare it to the pictures here, but yeah, I mean, it looks really nice. I do like the orange details. Iki goes back and forth between being my favorite of the core 5, pretty solidly with Hyoga, back and forth. So I would definitely like to have this. Will I get it? Probably not, because I like my anime hero figures figure one that I have, and I'm satisfied with that. Even though you guys are telling me that this is different somehow, I'll look at the details later.
No, actually, I'll be okay. You're talking about the actual cloth. You're talking about the actual figure. I'm like, no, dude, it's like I can't afford any of these stuff. So the anime figures, the anime heroes figures, like A+ to me. And like I just have Seiya. And Seiya, it's like my go-to. He's my go-to figure. So it's like, don't feel bad about it.
No, it's just when it comes to expensive Japanese collectibles, you kind of have to pick and choose your battles. And well, unless you're just filthy rich, and then if that's the case, I'm gonna DM you my number and we can become friends, because that can be beneficial to me.
I'm here. I need a sugar daddy.
But realistically, most people got to pick and choose what they order, and I'm just not a posable figure fanatic. Like, I think they look cool, and I love seeing what people can do creatively with them. But I much more prefer like Safubis or statues that are in poses that a professional designed to look as best as it can, and I don't have to do anything else. So pick and choose your battles. If I like I said, I'm really interested in the Misty and potentially the Moses, just for the novelty of having probably the most forgettable Silver Saint, and that's saying a lot considering who all the other Silver Saints are. But
yeah,
but I kind of want Morris on my shelf just a little bit. But wishful thinking. We'll see.
All right. It looks great. I really like these. I really like Iki, how he looks. So he looks amazing. So, and like let's not also discontinue Hyoga. Hyoga has I'll admit, like, other than Shiryu's, Hyoga's cloth is is one of my favorites, and it's like, especially the guy who's look like post Poseidon. He's got the eye patch. That's fucking rad. I love that look for Hyoga.
That's actually something that I wanted to point out before we moved on, because like I'm so happy that I wonder if they're gonna give him a face that doesn't have that, because when he goes to the underworld, I think he recovers his eyesight, the same as Shiryu. But like when he's originally presented, he's wearing the bandage on his eye after the damage he suffered from fighting Isaac. I actually modded I have the B2 version, and I modded him. I cut it a little bit of a bandage, and I put him on his eye to give him that look. So yeah, but I love that it already comes with it. Like it feels more natural that he looks like that. So I'm glad that they put that detail on him.
Yeah,
Mhm.
surely they'll have a regular face for him. I couldn't imagine them not.
Yeah,
Pro-
they judging at this point, they would be crazy not to put that in because it's like they want what the Fluffy X, they want to like cover all their bases.
Yeah, and they were probably showing that because that's like the draw that they finally are releasing that face. But I'm sure
Also
people-
too, it's like that's at that point in the series, that's where you get to see that look of him. So it's like they want to put it front and center, that particular look that he has at that point.
right.
Yeah. So I am really expecting this. I actually need to go get Shun. I think he just recently arrived to Mexico, so I haven't been able to go to Mexico City due to a lot of reasons. But hopefully I can get to go in a couple of weeks, and hopefully I can find him. And I am awaiting with a lot of anticipation these two figures.
All right. So what's next?
Okay, next it's actually it is and it isn't a surprise. Like a lot of people kind of saw this coming, but as much as I hate to admit it, I was on the team of like they're not going to be doing this, not this soon. But then again, it is Bandai. They do need something new to put out. They have announced, we didn't see any pictures, but they have announced that they have confirmed that Bandai will be releasing mid-clots. Well, I don't remember if they specified if there were going to be mid-clots, like regular mid-clots or EX mid-clots, but they're going to be putting out figures for the Marina Generals wearing the surplices revealed in Re-Rise of Poseidon. So the Re-Rise of Poseidon spin-off is going to be getting figures dedicated to it.
Which is amazing.
Also,
yeah, like
also too, it's also gotta be cost efficient because like, oh, we could just spray paint these black.
yeah, I mean they do have different details, but they're very minimum. I mean, if you put just the comparison between the normal scales to the surpluses they were given in that one panel, they're not that different. They're it's a very good cost effective way to release new material. And you know what the worst part is, that it's like it works. I actually want to see what they look like because
I mean, you're talking to a guy. You're talking to the guy who wants to buy not just the regular ones, but also wants to buy these in their royal blue versions as well.
yeah.
Which are like I think that's the best idea of them retconning them to have that color in their cloth now. I love that detail so much because it makes perfect sense for them to have that navy blue. It looks so good. It looks so good on them. You're like, I don't mind triple dipping at this point for another one if they're gonna be in if they're gonna be like in black and purple. I don't mind that. Let's go.
Yeah, that whenever I think of stuff like this, it reminds me of that Simpsons episode where Lisa, how did it go? The one with the doll. What is the Barbie incarnation that they use?
It has a new hat.
Malibu Stacy. Yeah, it has a new. yeah. Hey, they know, man. I hate it, but it's true.
You're talking to a guy who brought 3 of the same figure because you bought 3 of the same Transformer because they had a gimmick where they can become one thing. Exactly the same figure. Like there's no difference between all 3 of them. So
that took me out. Like I'm sorry, I almost died.
we don't need to lose you again. We don't need to lose you again.
Oh my god, that was intense. Like I was about to have an asthma attack. That was not good.
No, he's right though. It's like when like Bandai is notorious for this, like especially in the Kamen Rider film stuff. Like
he's got a new hat. Like I'm gonna start saying every time Kamen Rider has one of those gimmick changes where like it's the same suit but now it's blue. I'm just gonna she has a new hat.
Like I said, like I have like let me okay, going back. This might be just be like Seiya and then Kamen Rider adjacent. But I have most of the base forms for double. It's the same fucking figure.
Yeah.
Just one's yellow and blue, one's silver and red, and one's green and black. That's it.
This is color-coded.
That's it. So it's like if you want to talk to me about like being a sucker about buying toys, the same toy like multiple times, talk to me. I've done that. I've done my time. Oh, but go on, Benjas.
Alrighty, once we have recovered from that, okay. And moving on, after that, we also got a bit of a bombshell that was also, how to put it, it's again one of those things that was perfectly logical to assume, and we should have seen a mile away coming, because they have done this for, I think, every every new iteration of Saint Seiya spin-offs that gets released, they release Bandai has also confirmed that they are working on figures for the live action film.
Question though, I have a question for you guys, and like I know you guys hate when I post these questions to you guys like last minute because like because like it makes for a more entertaining podcast, and two, I'm pretty sure you guys hate it because like, oh god, I gotta think about this. I have a question for you guys.
Go on.
Do you guys think it's gonna be a myth cloth, or you guys think it's gonna be something else, like let's say figure arts?
I think it's gonna be a myth cloth. The reason why I say this is that since they have so cemented, particularly with the people that would be willing to buy the Saint Seiya merchandise, the myth cloth series, I don't think that they'd be willing to take the risk just yet of trying to release with another brand or another distributor or another type of figure. I don't think that they would be willing to try and give them the rights to produce the figures. I am almost sure that they're going to stick with a myth cloth.
All right. What do you think, Kamen Rider Furry?
Are we talking about? Did they say specifically Japan, or did they say like worldwide release?
You just said
Probably it's gonna be worldwide. They always release these figures worldwide. I don't know how Bandai distributes the Saint Seiya figures in the US. I'm completely alien to that.
Not at all.
I believe
Zero.
Okay, so no, they've been releasing them. They've been releasing them for a while. We had a distributor named Bluefin, and they've been
They just pulled it back into Tamashii Nation. So
yes, that's what I'm gonna say. They actually pulled it into like Bandai themselves. So so they've been releasing since from that ever since the assumption of Bluefin. They've been releasing these figures. So and they have been releasing them under the Bandai Collectibles brand ever since like this year when they actually formed that when they actually reconciled all their brands to be under that one roof.
Okay, here's a question. And this is not me diverting because I don't have an answer for the question that you asked me. So there's most likely, if they want the movie to succeed, I guess I should say, then there will most likely be like a playline level of toys. Who do we think is going to produce that? And do we think that it will be an American company? Because if they're wanting to release them, because it's a American movie that's being made for a Japanese property, so the toys are probably not going to be the same quality as what you would consider quote children's toys in Japan. So do we think that it's going to be like Hasbro or Mattel or Jack Specific or something like that that's producing them over here, or do you think that we'll import Japanese stuff for the movie?
Bandai has released like lower end stuff for children. They like so it's like they wouldn't be surprised if they just retain the rights and be like, we're a worldwide distributor and we're gonna hold on to the rights. If you're to point a gun to my head, it'd be some weird esoteric one, like it'd be like I do know for a fact that Jack Pacific would be one of them. I want to say what's the name of that one company? Oh my god, they recently started releasing AEW figures. Oh my god. That company that's making AEW right now. I think they also been doing a lot of stuff recently with like League of Legends and stuff like that. So I'm going to be surprised too if they might get their hands on it. But that's if they do. Also, Spin Masters might be another one because they've been recently like ever since they got the rights to do the DC stuff. They've been like action figure crazy. Like they've been doing a lot of action figures like anything with the words DC. So it's like I wouldn't be surprised if like one day they just say, hey, we have this line now. Like fuck it, let's go. But I'm pretty sure that at the end of the day, I think Bandai wants to keep everything like in their family, if you will, for the most part.
I'm worried if they do that, the movie won't be as successful as what it could be. Because for better or for worse, any movie or property that you release, at least in the US, that you want to be successful, that has any sort of kids demographic tied to it whatsoever, needs toys to be successful. Mm-hmm. And I just don't see Bandai, because does Bandai America even exist anymore?
Still, yeah.
What? Where the hell are my good Power Rangers toys in? No, I'm just
kidding. That's Hasbro.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, but what I don't see, in my opinion, again, this is not a libelous statement because this is just how I'm interpreting things. Bandai, don't sue me. Bandai America has always been kind of lazy with the releases, like not with the quality necessarily, but with the actually releasing them and getting them out and making them widely available. So I'm worried if they decide to keep everything in house that it's going to hinder how well the movie can do among like younger kids, if that makes sense.
That's a difficult question because that would be something that's up to the retailer at that point. That's a retailer issue. That's a retailer issue about them releasing the toys and then putting in like where they should be, where it's more visible.
That's a whole other thing. Like getting shelf space in retail stores is incredibly difficult, and if Bandai America isn't actively consuming up toy shelf space that they can, pull back products to put out Saint Seiya stuff, will it even make it to stores? Will we have to go like you and I and Benjas and a lot of other adult collectors can go online and order like special order stuff or pre-order stuff so we make sure we get it. That's not a big deal, but I'm talking about like the longevity and success of it. If there's not merchandise readily available, it could easily fizzle out really quickly, and that makes me super nervous.
But again, we wouldn't know until we wouldn't know anything at all until if anything, when the earliest we would know about this will be February, because that's when Toy Fair 2023 happens, and that's when we're gonna get like a lot more information about the type of thing.
Not to be a Debbie Downer, sorry about that.
That's fine. I was a Debbie Downer before. You get to be that too. But any final thoughts, Benjas?
Yeah, I think I agree with Kamen here that I hope that they do the smart thing and not just okay. I do believe that the announcement we got at Tamashii just refers to a MythCloth series, and I do want to say something about that before I finish my thoughts. But going back to the point, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not gonna put out merchandise outside of just the MythCloth series. And I think that it's something that I don't really think about too much, but I think I agree with the point made that there needs to be merchandise for this film to catch the attention of people, be it young children, be it teenagers, being people that like collecting stuff. You need merchandise for movies to attract an audience. I think that it works a lot in the US, but not just there. Like most parts of the world, like if you release merchandise of these things, then you catch the attention of people that might be willing to try and see what this is about if you put out that stuff. So hopefully that they'll use logic and not just stick to that, because the MythCloth series and the Bandai stuff for Saint Seiya, they make some money in the sense that people are willing to collect this stuff worldwide, but it is a very niche market. Not everybody can afford, is willing to pay, or wants to get those types of figures even. So I hope that they just don't stick to this. We'll have to wait and see.
Not just that, I'm pretty sure a lot like I always look at buying toy. I always look at like toy when it comes to marketing to stuff, or like trying to like produce something for like mass retail. I look at it from like three different perspectives. I look at it from the child's perspective, the adult's perspective, and also the collector's perspective. Collectors one will eat up anything. The child's perspective, they have to get if it's shiny and it does something, they'll get it. Where the problem's gonna lie is gonna be on the parents who are like, I don't know if I want to put down $90 for this toy. So yeah, a mid-range, like a mid to like low range figure like line for like kids based on it would be a good. And who'd be the one that do it? We don't know at this point. We don't know. By the way, the company I was thinking of that did all those AEW figures was Jazzware, and they've been doing a lot of good I used to hate all their toys, but now I love their stuff because not partially not the fact that I collect wrestling figures on the side as well. So there's no bias. But yeah. So is there anything else that we should be aware about, Ben?
When it comes to that news, no. I just wanted to say something that I just hope that for the love of Christ, here's the thing. Bandai putting out MythCloth figures for new releases and new lines, it's not uncommon. They did this for Cynthia Shaw. They did this for
Canvas.
Oh god, the name. Yeah, they did for Lost Canvas. They did for Omega. They did for
Omega.
Battle for Sing. No. What's the name of the CGI movie?
Legend of the Sanctuary.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh my god. For Legend of Sanctuary. And in each and every single one, because none of those properties were a hit, they only released like 3 figures and then dropped the line completely. So that very much will end up happening for the movie if this is not a success. So them putting this out is not necessarily a confirmation for success. I'm praying that everything goes well and maybe this line won't die immediately. That's all I want to put out regarding that.
I will say we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves because we haven't even seen the damn cloth yet. So
that is true.
Committing to want to buy toys when I don't even know what it looks like feels weird.
Yeah,
that is very true.
So like I said, like that's another good point. It's like we wouldn't know anything at all, and like I said, we won't know until like Toy Fair at the earliest if they're gonna even release toys and who's gonna get the master toy rights, quote unquote. So yeah. I mean, and you're correct because like it's interesting about the you brought up Omega, and that's where I was trying to wonder like if they're gonna go outside of doing stuff for this class, because I'd say Omega actually started off with as a figure arts, and then they moved on to do myth cloths.
Huh. I didn't know about those.
And like originally, they only released Koga, what's his face, Koga's the ninja guy. Oh my god, I'm blanking on his name. The main character. Fuck.
Pegasus. Yeah, Koga.
Okay, yeah, I thought. Okay, yeah. So Koga, you have him released as like a figure arts. They were gonna release Yuna and Eden as well. But they literally showed the prototypes and they said they were gonna do it, but then they just backed off at the last minute. Not even a P Bandai release. They just are now scattered to like the 4 winds.
Yeah, you were such a mess. Anyways, I think that we can conclude with the news regarding the figures for the live action film, and then we pass on to the final like highlights from this Tamashii Nations for Saint Seiya products.
Yeah,
the last things shown were not a panel, what would you call a diorama with all the Seiya figures released so far for Seiya for the EX versions, with some interesting things, 3 of them which are very much interest, being new. The first one is the prototype had already been shown previously. I think again the prototype appeared in 2019. I think. Well, no, don't quote me on that, but that they appeared beforehand for Seiya wearing Odin's robe, the EX version. Once again, the figure makes his appearance here. As far as I was able to research, I don't think that there was anything like too noteworthy about this figure put here. Like there doesn't seem to be any details worth mentioning, but just to say that the figure seems to be confirmed to be in development and will probably be coming out.
Yeah, if they already have the mold already ready, most likely down the line they're gonna do it unless something horrific happens and they just said no, we're not doing this anymore. Mm-hmm. Especially with Saint Seiya, especially with Mythcloth, like they're putting in so much effort into like R&D to like make not just the figure but also like making sure that the pieces fit into like the object form and its cloth form. That's like they're putting in that much effort. Then most likely they're gonna keep at it until they get it right.
Yeah, most likely. So there's that one. So it is confirmed, and for the people, I've never been a fan of the Odin's robe. I have to be honest. That's probably one of my least favorite designs in the entire series. But for anybody that likes it, he's going to be released. So keep an eye out for that. And after that comes the 2 that for me were like the highlight of the showcase. We have the first prototype of Seiya wearing the God Claw of Pegasus in EX form. And it looks gorgeous.
It looks beautiful. I think it's one of my. It's like I said this. I think I know we were having that discussion about like our favorite like cloths and stuff like that, and we made that little provision of like it's only stuff that we've seen. If we were to expand it, this would have been number 1 on the bullet for me. That design is like just the best design I've ever seen for a cloth, hands down. Him and Red Mantis' armor cloths are the best cloths in the series, hands down.
This is actually like I agree with you. This is actually my favorite cloth in the entire series. Ooh. Like this is my number 1. I'll save my quote unquote rant, not rant. What would be the positive of a rant? Like the
praise.
Okay, I will save my praise for when we have that discussion again. But all I'll say is that it is my favorite. So seeing him like already present. I'm already salivating. I'm just waiting for him and the others because they're gonna be coming out. You can be assured of that.
They have to.
I'm just waiting for them. Yeah, I'm just waiting for them to come out. Please, please, Bandai, please. I'll give you. I will sell my kidneys for this. Release an original color edition for the gold cloth with the gold color of the manga, and I will sell my kidney for it.
I will say this: I'm looking at
Oh.
I'm looking at pictures of the original release, and yeah, it's like the difference is literally night and day with these figures. It's like the wings are so much different, and a little like you can tell like they're putting more efforts into like giving it details and stuff like that, and it just looks so much better like detail wise. I'm pretty sure the articulation is gonna be phenomenal, and that's always been my thing. I know Kamen Rider Furry is like Mister. I want as a statue. Fine. I'm insane. I like posing my things. I love having things in insane poses. I want to have that, and the Mythcloth EX does that perfectly for me. That stuff like just that hit the spot for me.
I will say that now that I'm like this is gonna be weird. So I've recently started collecting dolls. So this is a little bit of a tangent story, but I don't like dolls that don't have articulation, which is completely opposite of what I like with my figures. Because I like to pose the dolls in different poses. So maybe my brain's just broken. I don't know.
That's just something that you like. Maybe because like for me, like when I first like for me like my first taste of like highly articulated stuff was the very first Marvel Legend figure was not what we like to traditionally call a Marvel Legend. It was called Spider-Man Classic, and the very first figure they released was like a Todd McFarlane designed Spider-Man. Or I wasn't designed. It was based on his design from like the '80s, from late '80s, and the articulation blew my mind. Like this thing, and like, I cannot have like I ever since then every figure I had to have must have a minimum of 20 points of articulation, 20 to 30 to 50. I was like, what I like about Mythcloth, you can get away with a lot of it, but a lot of it is like constrained by their cloths. Unfortunately, like the actual gimmick makes it difficult for them to do a lot of their iconic poses. That's why I'm excited. That's why I was excited when they announced EX and they announced that we can now get away with doing like you can get away with like giving more articulation on the cloth itself to free up a lot more, so you can do a lot more poses in cloth.
Sure, it will have a lot of articulation. I mean, the most recent ones have had quite a bit of articulation. Basically the only limit is like the weight of the thing. But if you have like a base to sustain the figure, you can practically do okay, I'm pulling this number again out of my sleeve, but probably 95% of the poses that you see in the series.
Yeah, because I remember one of the ones that had a lot of problems early on was Sorrento. Like literally, his cloth was constrained so much you can't literally put the flute on his mouth. So you have to use like trick photography if you want to pose him so you can look like he's doing it from like a distance. Or you gotta like pose him in such a way where it looks like it, but it's not really directly to it. But I'm pretty sure they've released since then an appendix and an EX, so that like that's a non-issue at this point.
I really need to get the Marina General CXs. From what I've heard, they're actually quite tricky to get. Well, I'll get to that when I have time and money.
Right, but so keep on going.
Okay, so we have the confirmation of that. We see the first visual of Seiya wearing the goth cloth in EX in the EX series, which is again, while it is not confirmed yet, it's basically like it's completely fair to deduce that they're going to be releasing the other protagonists as well in the goth cloth. So I'll be looking forward to that. And finally, this one is like probably the most interesting, but depending on whom you ask, probably like it's the complete opposite in terms of how detailed it is, because it is the figure, the Mythcloth, for the most minimalistic cloth, probably, which is the B1 version of the Pegasus cloth of Seiya, B1 version of the manga.
I love it. It's simplicity that I just love, and like I said, I don't know what they did with it, but like Kuromada's art just is very, very striking, and it does lend itself really well to an action figure. They did an incredible job transitioning that look and style of his artwork to this figure. Also, that too, like I'm a sucker for I'm also a sucker for that silver blue that he has on. That's such a cool look.
I love it too. I've been since they announced this. I've been anticipating it. I've been salivating it. I need it. Like you know that SpongeBob, like where he's I don't need it. I need it.
Yeah.
I've been like that since they announced it. Like okay, it might be very minimalistic, and a lot. I know a lot of people don't like it, and that's fair. But for people that here's this is something that I've never understood. Why haven't they released like a line like with manga versions before? There are quite a few that vary quite a bit from the original from the manga to the anime. And so I've been like in awe that they never really thought about releasing those figures beforehand. And most of the people that I see that release the videos about collecting these figures, they all agree like just release the damn figure already. We want it. We'll pay for it.
And well, I think like, they have done it in the past, but unfortunately, the problem was it's like it's again. This goes back to the discussion we had earlier. It releases as either like as a premium exclusive or an event exclusive. I remember one of them. I believe this V3 armor, the V3 cloth Seiya's V3 cloth, or this V2 cloth that no. So this is the manga now, so it's like we're like okay, the one he gets. When he gets right as it gets to 12 houses right after Mu resurrects him. That version.
Oh, the V3 of
V3, the V3 manga or the V2 of the anime. They released that in the original manga colors as exclusive or pre-ordered for exclusive version of the PS4 game. Stuff like that.
It was.
They've released also and also various events. They've released like like appendixes for all the 12 gold saints, so you can give them like the looks without having to buy another one. But as far as like releasing like them, actually, they those like they haven't released them at all, and like they're not in mass retail. My biggest fear with this figure is like that this figure is not going to be like mass retail, unfortunately. But
it's gonna be one of those that you'll have to probably hunt it down the moment that it releases. But yeah, I need this. I'm gonna have to. I'll get this. I don't know how, but I'm gonna get this.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about it that I also love is they changed a couple of things from the original prototype that they showed. They actually painted the hair like it has like a reddish tone at the very top.
Yeah. I love that because like a lot of people miss that detail. Like he actually doesn't have like he has like light auburn reddish hair. A lot of people like don't realize that when they see like the manga, they see like the manga pictures. They see like the official like how it's officially drawn by Kuromada. It's like he has like this reddish like auburn like hair. That's why you see the photos of my cosplay. Like I did the original manga version of the cosplay. And like I use kind of like a reddish wig instead of like a traditional brown wig.
It's a detail that gets lost quite a bit, but Seiya's always had, since its conception, at least the way Kuromada draws him, he's always kind of had like this mix between auburn and reddish hair.
Yeah.
So I am very glad they kept that in. I hope the final product comes like that. And well, that would be the last of the announcements themselves. But this Tamashii was very wonderful. Like it got a lot of people talking, which is always good.
And we got a good chunk of this episode with this discussion anyway, so that's actually pretty good. Any final thoughts, Kamen Rider Furry? Because I know you've been silent back there, like for like the last part of it. So, any final thoughts on that last part of like things that you saw? How we discussed. I mean,
not really. Like I'm not super big on the manga. That's definitely Benjas' area.
Yeah.
So I'm just not super crazy about the manga. So and again we already kind of touched on it a little bit about how you have to pick your battles on what figures that you can get and what ones you can't based on budget. And if I had an unlimited budget, I mean, it's a nice figure and I know exactly where I would put it and exactly how I would style it and everything, but it's not on my priority list as much. I'll keep an eye out for any pre-order links that I see because they do pop up pretty frequently online, and I'll keep that in mind, I guess.
All right. Let's move on then. Let's move on to the next topic. I think we have a little more topic after this.
Yeah, we do have like a bit of another news that happened recently.
Right.
It's minor, but remember that we talked about the final edition of the manga being released in Mexico, being the first edition to be released in the continent of America and the first Spanish version confirmed thus far. It was supposed to come out in October. However,
Yeah, we're not. We're in
Panini
November now. We're at the end of November as we're recording. We haven't seen shit.
Yeah, Panini was mum about that and didn't say anything. Like that. Okay, I'll get to this way later. They did not say anything throughout the month of October. The only thing that we could deduce is that they released their calendar to what books were going to be coming out, and Saint Seiya wasn't among them. So it was obvious that this had been delayed, but they never said anything about it. We had, I think it was at the end of October or at the beginning of November, they released the calendar with the new titles that they're going to be releasing in 2023, and we have confirmation that the final edition is going to be coming out on 2023. It got pushed back to the first trimester, so it's going to be releasing sometime either in January, February, or March.
Yeah,
at the very least, the first volume.
If for those of you who don't know, a first trimester will be like the first 3 months. So it's like if we were to take this like how we would like interpret it for like an American audience, it would be the first quarter.
Okay, so in the first quarter of 2023 it's when it's going to be released. And we also got confirmation that the final volume for Saint Show here in Mexico, volume 16, which was the only one pending, got released, I think it was this year or last year, late last year in Japan. It's finally going to get released in the second second quarter of 2023, completing the series here.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm very happy about that. I know that there is like an extended version of the final chapter that got released in the volume in Japan. I hope that we get that as well.
Most likely.
So that would be putting an end to the publication of that Saint Seiya spin-off here in Mexico as well. So it's a good thing. Here's the thing though. When it comes to the final edition being pushed back, the thing that upset me the most was not the fact that it got pushed back, because so far in Japan, only 5 volumes have been released, and we haven't had any confirmation for when the others are going to be coming out. It's logical that they would be pushing this back, because even if they just kept to a schedule of maybe releasing every 2 months a volume, you can only do that for 1 year, and then you wouldn't have any material to put out. So it makes sense for them to delay this as much as possible, at least until there's more material to put out. But the thing that upset me was that Panini said diddly squat. No communication whatsoever. Like, just put out an announcement saying this is originally we said this was going to be releasing in October, but due to unforeseen circumstances, this is going to be delayed, or this is going to be pushed back. Stay in tune for more details. Just something like that, and that way the people that are actually waiting for that product that you announced wouldn't mind having to wait a little bit more for it. But I hate it when companies do this. It's like we don't tell you anything until we feel like it, and then we don't apologize for it.
Yeah, that tends to happen a lot. Not just with, but it has to happen a lot. Not just with like companies like that. It's like everywhere. That's so you're just like at this point, like it happens to like every company at this point. Yeah, they should have been a little bit more transparent about it.
I understand. I understand what you were saying, and you know me, I'm always devil's advocate. Sorry, but like I completely understand. Like they should have said something, but a lot of companies are in that mindset that until they are all refocused and back on the same page and ready for a united message that everybody's going to say the same thing, they're not going to say anything. Yeah, they probably could have been made like a, hey guys, it's obviously November and it didn't get released, so sorry, we're working on it kind of post. But most companies are not gonna say anything until everything behind the scenes is settled and finalized, and they're confident in the message that they're gonna put out, which technically is what they should have done in the first place before they announced the previous release date. But you know what I mean.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, so it's a minor thing, but at least we now have a tentative date for this. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, same here. Like I'm glad that they finally got their act together and they're finally gonna start doing this.
In the Tamashii Nation panel, when they announced that they were going to be releasing the figures of the surpluses for the Marina Generals, they also gave a pamphlet that contained the first chapter of Re-Rise of Poseidon for the people that attended the event. There, at the end, they finally confirmed when the next chapter, or chapter 2, is going to be released, which is January 19th in the Champion Red for 2023. So we're going to be expecting that one to come out. And as soon as I get my hands on the chapter translated to a language I understand, I'll get to work on translating it into English as well.
I need my Marina babies.
Um,
They're all alive for some reason.
So I think what they're trying to do. I think they're going to release it like every 2 months, 2 or 3 months. So it's like again, I think this goes back to what you were saying earlier. It's like it's going to be once every quarter, I believe. So I think let's not hold our breath too much for the next one after this. So I'm pretty sure because the first one came out in October, so this will put us like 3 months afterwards. So it'd be January. So yeah, every 3 months, every quarter-ish, that we're going to be expecting a new chapter of Rewrites of Poseidon. So let's not hold our breath too much. So going forward, but I am excited. I am happy that people really that not just us, but the entire fandom really liked this. That was something that we all unanimously really loved, and we actually really are. I'm really happy that they are continuing this, and they've been doing a lot of and they're like putting all this effort in, not just putting out the manga, but also putting in also doing figures based on it as well. Even though it's if we think about it, it's just a repaint of the figures they have themselves. But hey, it's all good. It's all good. I really do appreciate that. I really do appreciate that they're still going to continue, and they've been putting on this much effort, literally putting on a flyer at the Tamashii Nation to tell people that more is coming soon. That's really cool.
Yeah, I am very looking forward to it. Yeah, on the one hand, it kind of sucks that it's not a monthly series, but on the other, you can also give the argument that at the very least it gives you something to wait for and to have anticipation for, and it'll probably last quite a bit. So we have something to talk about and to look forward to every few months.
All right. Any thoughts, Kamen Rider Furry?
I'm excited. I really like this spinoff so far. My only complaint with it, again, and not to harp on, because it might have been just a miscommunication. I don't know if Kurumada colors the colored illustrations himself, or if he has like a team that works on them for it. But like the villain, what was her name again? I'm blanking.
Nemesis.
Nemesis?
Yeah.
She was dark skinned, very clearly dark skinned, or at least incredibly tanned, if not a POC in the illustrations of the actual manga. But the colored illustration had her very, very light skin. I hope that is not like intentional whitewashing. I hope it was just a miscommunication, because maybe that coloring was done early on before everything was finalized or whatever. But I like seeing representation, and Saint Seiya has a spotty history with representation of people of other skin tones and things like that. So I was excited to see her. I'm hoping that was just a one-time thing, and that in other beautiful full color illustrations we have, she is what we can assume to be the correct color. That's
Yeah.
my only.
I think that the coloring is I'm not sure if Suda is the one that supervises that, because since it's his project, he or she, we still don't know. Since Suda is the one in charge of this project, they have like control as to what the coloring for the pages would be. I don't know if they're going to be using those same colors every time they color something, but just rest assured that the intended version is always the one in black and white for the manga. So
Right.
I don't think that it was like with ill intent.
I don't think it was, because this very well could have been just like something that was done early on, or an oversight, or maybe they just don't care. I don't know, but I don't think it was ill intent. But it still leaves me feeling kind of gross. But it's just a small part of the whole thing, and the whole thing was very positive, and I'm very excited about chapter 2. I don't want to make it seem like I'm hating on it whatsoever. It was fantastic.
All right, then, guys. That was a good discussion, guys. Hey, if there's anything else that you guys want to bring up, now would be a good time to bring it up, if you guys, because if not, I'm gonna transition this to our interview with the Doceava Casa.
I think I'm good on my part.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear it. I haven't heard the interview yet.
All right. I recorded this back in October. It's me with Gatita Negra and Radin. They're both cosplayers who also host a podcast based on Saint Seiya. They're more focused on like fan works and fan stuff in general. So if you want to check out their podcast, I'll link you to them. They think they release a podcast every 2 weeks, and they do it over Twitch. So I'll post the Twitch channel on the description below, but on the description of this episode. But please give them a follow. They're really cool, and like I said, like even though they speak Spanish, they are multilingual, and they are really good. They're really good to listen to. So here's the interview with La Doceava Casa. And welcome everybody. I'm here with my two guests. I'm here with the team of La Doceava Casa, the 12th house. So why don't you ladies introduce yourselves?
Ah,
Well, okay. Okay, my name is Galatea. And I'm with Rainer here tonight. And thank you very much for your invitation to the podcast. We are here after I think a kind of 3 4 months because everyone has difficulties in life and stuff. So sorry
Yeah,
about that, and thank you again.
I should say sorry too, because like my family got literally this is what happened. My
no, no,
my
please,
mo-
no,
my
no, don't
my
apologize.
my mom got COVID. Then my sister
Yeah.
got COVID. And then her husband got COVID. Then my niece and my nieces got it. And then I
Mm-hmm.
got it afterwards. So it was like 6 weeks of like all of us getting turns with the COVID.
Oh my
So
God.
like yeah, I should be saying sorry too, because like that all happened. But like we're doing more stuff now, and like I really wanted to get you guys in here because you guys host an amazing podcast for Spanish speakers. But I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about like how Saint Seiya was in Argentina, because you amazing ladies are from Argentina, and also
Mm-hmm.
too like I want to learn a little bit more about like the female perspective of Saint Seiya, because like you guys, like obviously you guys are ladies, and like it's something that that males really tend to get into. I really want to know how like what your perspective is from a female's perspective, and just like tell us like what you got, how things were, the culture of how Saint Seiya was at the time too the in Argentina and stuff like that. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go on to some of the questions here. So I already asked you guys. So how did you two meet?
Oh,
Oh,
this is a long story. I
Fine.
meet Gala really en redes sociales.
Uh-huh.
social
And
media.
social media.
Social media.
In social media, she share great photos about cosplay. She starts. I meet her because she doing amazing cosplays about Los Canvas.
Oh, okay.
She have a lot of characters, but
Yes.
I really never talked to her. So there was, I don't know, a lot of time. Years maybe, and when we have the opportunity to talk each other, it was very interesting because uh, we went to the same university, or
Mm.
so all this time we never know about that. And when Gala tell the the other part of the story.
Yeah. Well, basically, uh, we met. We knew each other in social media, as Rightness said, but we went to same meeting, same events, same fandom, but never talked to each other. So suddenly, one day in my university, I took the responsibility of organizing some parts of a congress, of communication congress,
Mm-hmm.
and they were talking about pop media, pop culture, and cosplay was intended in them. So the the I don't know, the leaders of the congress asked me
Yeah.
um well, do you know any cosplayers, any good reference old cosplayers here in Buenos Aires to talk about cosplay as an activity, as an artist thing? And then I was in a group about cosplayers organizados Argentina,
Mm-hmm.
organized cosplayers, cosplayers, and well, I made a call. So what about asking
Okay.
someone? Well, one of the people I consider, because she has been in cosplaying here about 20 years. 20
No.
Yeah,
years. Yeah,
yes, yes,
a lot of
a
time.
lot of time.
That is, she's of the old school cosplayers here in Buenos Aires. So
Oh, okay.
I considered for academic for that academic interest that she was really good and she has the same university stuff. She is get used to the language, to communicating with academic people. So I consider her appropriate to speak in the Congress.
Okay.
Beyond artist herself, she has an academic formation. So I don't know. She can stand in front of 1,000 people and talk. That's what I meant. Well, I invite her. She said yes, and well, we start talking since then. And that was in 2000.
2090 or
Yes,
2080.
90.
90.
20,
Nice.
2090. Then
2019.
yes, then the COVID came.
Mm.
Oh no.
Next year, yeah, next year. We, in fact, we have planned to have I don't know, to have other meetings, to be a team for some Senseiya cosplay in the future, but then COVID attack as a Fire
Yeah.
Nation, as Fire Nation. Uh, yeah. So, well, we get close in our houses. Um, then she one day, I don't know, remember how, I think at the ends of
Ending
the, yes,
the
in
2020.
December,
Yes.
yes, in December of that year, the first COVID year,
Mhm.
she had an idea about, well, we are in our houses enclosed, so he said, well, I wanted to do something about Senseiya fandom, but not another new podcast about Senseiya's news, but about the fandom itself. And I asked, okay, what are you talking about? I don't understand. And she said, okay, I want this idea, this crazy idea. Listen to me, she said. Uh, let's organize a place to stay with fans and giving the fans a chance to show their works. I mean, their fan works about their original characters, their original stories, implied in the Sensei universe, of course, but it's a way to, I don't know, to present to the social media their products that maybe are not seen or watched or listened because, well, fan work is not there's a very little fan work that really works hard. You
Mm-hmm.
have to be very famous,
Mhm.
or you had to have a lot of luck, good luck,
Yeah.
uh,
Jerome.
for for like Jerome, for example.
Mhm.
But well, I don't know, we need to show and to, I don't know, to share our interest in showing the community, the Spanish speaking community, a space when the fans can show their works and share with other work with other fans, I don't know, combining with other works, I don't know. And at first we decided to do Spotify podcast, just
Mm-hmm.
audio, just uh, for like a radio thing. And then the possibility of Twitch. Little note, side note here. We,
In the first
we
time, the people are more comfortable in the
with
podcast
yeah, with
format.
yes, because well, a lot of reasons. Twitch means a very strong exposition, and there's not, I don't know, not everyone wants to be shown in camera, in front of the camera, speaking
Exactly.
to unknown people, and and there is a lot of artists that are very shy. I don't know, they're with their own scares and their own, I don't know, things.
Yeah, that
Uh,
makes perfect sense. Like a lot of artists are very what we like to call timid or very mousy about things. So that it makes perfect sense like why they wouldn't want to do it. So it's like again,
E-
no, we don't want to pressure them to do like things stuff they're not comfortable with.
Exactly. Exactly.
exactly. Well, so time passes, and well, we started a list, and we started to looking for artists in the community, and then well, we started the first, of course, the first two episodes were about us because we have to introduce ourselves and to show our work, like an example to say, well, as we showed our work, we want you to show your work. So
Exactly.
it's a safe place. It's okay. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing bad is going to happen, and we only want you to show your work proudly. And well, the first ones were a kind of, because we were I don't know, we were inexperienced to with the interviews. Kind of difficult thing, but after time passes by, and suddenly Twitch was a possibility for us, because we learned in the middle of this road. We learned how to podcast, how to edit, how to transmit, how to do transmissions with Twitch, how to use the platform, the OBS.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, this is a nightmare. I hate it.
Yeah,
Uh,
I used to do Twitch streaming myself, so I totally understand why it's a nightmare. And I still use OBS from time to time for like backups. So like it's still like a pain in
Yeah.
the it's still a pain in the what whenever I have to like work on it. So you have my sympathies.
okay, thank you very
No,
much.
it's not was only that, because OBS have the bad luck that your PC or your notebook is have a good
Isn't good
uh,
enough. Isn't good enough.
Yeah, like
yeah,
Uh,
placa de video me sale, pero
okay, graphic video.
and
Okay, we had a lot of technical problems
yeah,
about
yeah,
our technology. The software was very heavy for our computers, and it was very complicated. And well, in fact, Raine here took the technical part in the team, and
yeah.
and she went crazy, in a word. Okay, so she quit. She quit OBS.
no, but the first
Yeah.
part of the Twitch transmissions
What,
was
what
built.
with OBS, yes.
Yes, my
But
computer
then
say, "Oh no, stop it!
goodbye, I'm
It's
dying.
very for me."
I'm
Yes,
dying, completely dying. So we started. Well, she discovered StreamYard, StreamYard,
yeah.
StreamLab,
Stream.
Stream.
Streamlab, yes.
Yes.
No,
Well,
StreamYard. StreamYard.
StreamYard, StreamYard.
Hmm.
Um. Well, that changed everything. Everything in the transmissions. It was easier. It was
Lighty.
yes, less heavy. um well, lighter.
Hmm.
And well, we started with that, and suddenly, well, people, our community, our viewers, uh started to see other artists showing up. Okay, they, I don't know, they took courage and suddenly
Yeah,
ask us, hey, I want to show my work. Hey, I want to show my work. Hey, I want to show my work. Okay, so we are during all all next year, we did a very long list, and we had about 20 episodes. 20,
All right,
21.
oof,
I
that's
don't
pretty
know,
good.
I don't know,
more or less.
more or less 20 in the first year. This is the second one. The
Hmm.
first year was
Yeah,
about 20 episodes, in
yeah,
podcast
20.
and in Twitch. Well, I don't know. I think we could build something here, something good, something new, something. I don't know if I have to say original, but something different, something that they had a little space for fans, and they had a chance to show the works, because there's a lot of good work, excellent works. I mean, not only fan fictions or fan arts or fan comics. I'm talking about movies. I'm talking about
Hmm.
Yeah,
trailers. I'm talking about musicians, about composers, about
singers.
singers. I don't know. Suddenly, like I don't know. We discovered gold.
Yeah,
This is the only thing
Yeah,
I can imagine.
diamonds is a
Diamonds,
mine.
we have a saying.
diamonds.
We have a saying here. We have a saying here, and but it was more like a United States thing. A United States thing that is English thing. Like you struck gold. You struck oil.
Yeah,
Yeah, oil. Oh, yeah.
exactly.
I wanted to say oil. I didn't remember how to
That's
say it.
fine.
Thank you.
That's fine.
Oil, oil. And well, basically it's that we wanted to share something with the community, and I think we built a space to do so, and we are very 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 happy and surprised because we did I don't know,
A
we did
community. We
yes
build a community, and the positive thing of this is people are very united between themselves. They share works of another people. So I don't know. I think that fandom is not the there in Latin America. Senseiya is like a bad word because the fandom itself, but
Mhm.
the works of the fans build another different type of community, very very positive.
yeah
And that is something surprising because I remember the fandom very toxic, and
Oh.
this community is very different, and we like it.
Yeah, this isn't just a Saint Seiya thing. It happens. It happens to all types of fandoms, and it's not just something in South America. It happens here in America, here in North America too.
Oh,
So it's so I always say to people, look,
mm,
if you want to like do something, if you want to like be in this fandom, be part of something, don't try to find the people you find yourself more like you find yourself more closer with. Like you find a more
yeah,
like you find someone you have more in common with, and that way you can form friendships from there. You can still be part of what the big picture of the fandom, but you're not really like participating in like all the toxic stuff and stuff like that. So I always say like, look, there's a lot of baggage when you go into like any fandom, not just Saint Seiya, but like anything in general.
anything. Yeah.
I love American comic books. I grew up reading that stuff, and boy, you should see all those people that just talk out of their butts a lot of times when they do stuff, and I'm like, it's so hard. I kind of like talk to just some like small groups of friends who who we like our own little thing, and we just kind of like go with it. Like I'm not into like the big I'm not into like the big superhero comics. I'm into like Transformers and the GI Joe comics, so I'm more
Yeah.
grounded. I like that stuff a lot more. So I just talked to them, and that fandom is like just and even the creative people in that fandom too. And those fandoms are amazing. So yeah, it's like just if you separate yourself from like the general fandom, you'll be perfectly fine. And you guys have carved a really good niche, being with the creative crowd, being with all people who create stuff. That's that's always a good. That's always very good, especially since for someone like myself, like we our podcast is more focused on like telling the world from a North American perspective or from an English speaking perspective, like what's going on in like the rest of the world or what's happening, in our neck of the woods. So like we're more into that more traditional podcast, but you guys are giving a spotlight to cosplayers, to artists, to people who make fan works, and I think that's more important sometimes. And I think that was a goal when that was also going to be my sub goal when I was making the show, because like my main goal was to get this show was to expose Saint Seiya to a larger audience, but to expose Saint Seiya's fan works and the people who are behind the fandom to the rest of the world as well. So you guys are doing an incredible job on that and trying to give people like
Mm.
as we say, give them a platform to like the creatives who put a lot of effort into a lot of what they do.
Thank you for
well
your word.
thank you very much. Well, in fact, I was going to add that some artists, most of them I think, uh, starting doing collaborations between themselves.
Yes.
So yeah, there are some fanfickers that speak with fan workers
Fan
and
artist.
say, fan
Yes.
artists and said, well, okay, let's share a special chapter together, or do you want to illustrate my cover for the next episode? Or I don't know, you want to write an introduction for my character and so on. But that was that wasn't even suggested by us. That went naturally
Yeah.
between them.
Exactly. Or for
So
example, there was Albiore Caballero Argentino.
yeah,
He starts to do to make the fixture of the World Cup. So there are lots of saints that there's no have a nationality of there are countries without a saint, so there he calls to the fans if they want to share her OCs.
Yeah.
Exactly, and they drove them to add at the fixture.
All right.
I-
All right. So like
Yeah.
you guys were like a beacon to bring all these people together, and from there they just kind of like started working together from there. That is amazing because like I always love hearing about that because like I think when creatives work together, that's when they come up with the best ideas, and I'm so like that's really good that you guys are bringing these creatives together here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. So why don't we thanks so much for all that. That was amazing, you guys, that you guys have told us all this. But let's talk a little bit more about like what Saint Seiya is like, how it was in your neck of the woods in Argentina. So tell us a bit how like Saint Seiya started. If you guys have any recollections of how Saint Seiya was in Argentina at the time.
Oh,
Well, we had
Argentina.
different.
In Argentina, Senseiya came up in 1995 in a program in a channel that they does not exist more. It's called ATC, Channel 5. No, Channel 5, no, Channel 7.
Mm-hmm.
7, yeah. And they have a problem in that time because they not have all the episodes completely. They have a
Mm-hmm.
part, no? I don't know if 20 episodes or 40 episodes. So the series uh, start in a part. I don't know. One day comes the episode 40, so there's no more. Start again and again, and there was a lot of time that it repeats. So there are another channels that have I don't know
They were
cuando
transmitting.
yeah, and have the rights for more episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of time that we as a kids want to know how is the ending of that story. But in this there are a lot of years now, and even if the ending is not showing up, the boys are very crazy about this. The few sticker album there, or I don't know what's the right name of
Yeah, it's sticker album. Like that's what we call them
sticker.
here. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there are a lot of them. The a collective figures of Van but I don't know exactly because I am as a kid, a girl kid. It's like the is like popularity is not serious like a girl. So when you or when I went to a kiosk or I don't know a magazine store, it's like looking to you and you are sure that you want to buy this. It's not for girls, but I really don't like it. O sea, I really don't care. I want my figure album of Senseiya. And it was difficult when you are a girl and the most of the people who saw the series in this time in that time were only boys.
Yeah.
So it's difficult because I was a little girl. So the relationship between boys and girls in a certain age, there are not more flexible. I don't know how to say. It's like girls for one side and boys for one other side,
Yeah,
and it's
I was.
difficult.
Yeah, I had similar experience here. Well, I met Senseiya. I was 8 years old, and well, we had the same problem because we live in the same society. Duh. but there is very very separated roles here
Mhm.
about in that time. I'm talking about the 90s, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
So to speak, about what was for boys and what was for girls. For girls here in Argentina in the 90s, the I don't know, the most popular anime came here. I mean, in Sensei, Sailor Moon, Dragon
Mhm.
Ball, etc., etc., etc. The second generation or the third generation of anime, I would say. But here it was our first one. So
Yeah.
Senseiya
Exactly. What
came. Yeah,
anime in all Latin America? If I think the first anime in a lot of time, because in the 80s was Robotech,
Mhm.
but
yeah.
it was I don't know,
But,
5 years
but
is a lot of time for a boy.
And then before that, it was like stuff like Gotcha Man, Battle of the Planets. I don't know, Batalla de los Planetas. That was was way before like any of our time. That was like in the '70s, and then even before that, you had Speed Racer, Meteoro, as well, and
yeah,
that was
Yeah,
Speed
yeah,
Race.
exactly.
Yeah,
But we want really little girls when they
Mhm.
show up in the TV.
yeah,
Senseiya, we want a little more growing up girls. So there's a gap, a year gap. It's like a generation.
Yeah.
So it was really the first anime that came here to open the market for the anime,
yeah.
especially
In
for
the
the toys or all the merchandising.
But as Raina says, Senseiya was for boys.
Mhm.
So it was very, very difficult for us as little girls to consume the Senseiya thing.
Yeah,
You can say, okay, you were kids, we can play to be Senseiya, but in society it wasn't. It was a point, as it was a problem. Our parents didn't want to us to watch Senseiya. Um,
with a lot of
col-
love.
Mm.
yeah, with many blood and violence and such things. um at the same time, society, I don't know, society pointing you out about that. Is there, okay, that is not for girls. You have to watch something more girly, something more
Candy
pinky thing.
candy.
The candy. Sailor Moon was a bit later, but it was
Yeah,
most more, it was more
uh, for
acceptable.
teenagers. Yes,
Yeah,
but it's
than
Yeah.
with
that
us.
we were teenager when Sailor Moon came up.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, but not much years after. But I don't know. Maybe when I was 12, Sailor Moon came, and Senseiya came when I was 8 or 9
Mhm.
years. So that's the difference. But it was the same decade. I mean,
Mhm.
Yeah.
um, but well, that was our first generation of anime, and I wanted to add for the anecdote of of Raina's childhood
Hmm.
that um the products here, the original products here,
Mhm.
uh,
Very expensive.
never came here. Okay, that's the truth. Never
Oh no.
came after, I don't know, after 15 years later, maybe. And there's expensive. They're expensive today. Today,
Yeah.
very expensive. I mean, very expensive.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
in that moment, I know
uh,
I remember the face of my father when I told, "Ah,
I
that
wanted
is,
a Bandai figure, Daddy, and
but
no,
this is the
no,
half of my salary."
no.
Yeah. No, it's the same thing. Living in Mexico too. It's like the Bandai figures, the official ones. They were like, if we were to take like at the time, it would have been like $30 American, and I'm like, like asking for one of them is like kind of like
Yeah,
it's kind of like
there
asking way too much from your parents. So like,
50 American dollars. $50 was here because in
oh my
this
god.
time in 19s, 1 peso, $1.
Uh huh. Oh no.
So
Yeah,
there was
Mm,
expensive, very expensive.
it was very expensive. They are very expensive today. Bandai, kid, please low down
I
your prices, please.
we
Um,
just recorded a podcast where we were talking just
yes,
about this, and we're like,
I I'm begging you. Okay, so out of crying this, well, there was no original products here. Yes, there was the time of fashion about sticker albums.
That's
I
all.
don't know. Tassos. There was a little
Hmm.
little
Gums.
figure.
There are gums, bubble gums with the
Bubble
stickers.
gums. Yes,
Yeah,
Yeah.
bubble gums.
we had those in Mexico. Believe it or not, oh my god, I'm
Yeah,
remembering all this stuff.
yeah, and not in Argentina, but in other countries like Chile or Brazil, there
Yogurt.
were yogurts too
Uh-huh.
Sí.
Hmm.
with figures. And here, as we Argentinians, I don't know, we are we try to be clever than clevers, and they started to do alternative products. Let's say.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, I
For
mean,
example, a comic book when Sailor Moon and Senseiya,
Oh god.
yeah, work together.
yes,
This
yes,
is very famous and very bizarre in the same time.
it's
It's very,
bizarre.
I
yeah,
know.
it's
Absolutely.
I
bizarre.
read, and yeah, I always because like I love Sailor Moon. I love it. I love the series too. Like that is also like another like big series I used to love. And I always show and like my friends who like that who like Sailor Moon, I show them that and like their minds are blown when they see that because they cannot comprehend what they're looking at.
Yes,
Wow. Wow.
yes.
They
It
can't.
was
Obviously,
real.
not
It is real.
original product. It's not
No,
like
no.
No, no,
copyright
no,
or
no.
ever.
It's like I think it's a mixture of a fanzine and I don't know what they wanted to do there, a crossover, but
I
I'm
it
pretty.
need
was
to do money with this.
I'm
it
pretty
was
sure.
very famous.
I'm pretty sure that what they said is like we have both of the rights because I'm pretty sure like they had. I'm pretty sure that they had. I'm pretty sure they had both of them to do something with Saint Seiya and Sailor Moon related, and they're like, let's just put something it and let's see what happens. It's like, well, so we'll do something, but we can't let the official like we can't let Toei or Naoko Takeuchi or Masami Kuromada know what we're doing. Like they have to do everything kind of like covert, like. Yeah, we have a term here. I'm trying to remember it in English. It's like they had to do it like by in the middle of the night. They could not let people see what they're doing, and they just let it all out in the public.
We
Here
sent
it
you
was
a link with the scan of this comic book because
yes,
it's
because it was a magazine and it had several numbers here.
Oh,
no, only one, only one.
No,
The
two.
crossover, no, the crossover is
No,
only
yeah.
one number.
mm-hmm.
Yes, because I bought it, and when I was go to the other month, and the next month there never appeared. So there was one number, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what the bizarre of the old story because this didn't work.
Or they found out and are like, you can't be doing that anymore.
No, because besides the drawings were awful, awful,
I seen the
really
pictures.
awful,
I
I
don't know
seen
awful.
those
when
pictures. It's
when
amazing.
There were
how they say in English
I did think the
calcar.
concept of altar
¿Cómo se dice calcar?
Like that.
tracing. I was talking
Yeah.
about that. I was talking about that. That the concept of art tracing, I think, didn't exist in the internet. They made it. They created first. O sea, I mean, there was tracing everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Every single drawing was traced. So
Yeah, yes,
it's
exactly.
awful. It's awful.
Okay, so also by the way, for those of you playing at home, yes, we just had our Sailor Moon reference on a Saint Seiya podcast. Take a drink.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
yeah, no. We do. If you haven't listened to the show, we have my other host, Kamen Rider Furry. He loves Sailor Moon, and like he'll try to horseshoe. There are too many shows with S's. It's throwing me off sometimes. He likes Sailor Moon, and he will
Yeah.
try to like put as much Sailor Moon stuff on our episodes as much as he can. And like, you know what? Go for it. You
Go
go.
for it.
You do it. I don't like. It's one of the few times where it's like, you know what? Sailor Moon and Saint Seiya, like we have a term here that's like they're conjoined at the hip, where they're connected to the hip in a lot
Yeah.
of ways. So it's like it like so in some ways they kind of like inadvertently they kind of go together.
Yeah.
So, but that's really interesting that you guys kind of clarified this like mystery of that comic book because like we a lot of people have seen it. I posted a lot. I've been guilty of like just showing it like look at what they're doing like behind look what they're doing in Argentina. You don't want this happening. So it's like we usually use that as a joke, but it's like it's good that you have someone kind of like, to clarify what it was exactly, and like it's very interesting. But so just really briefly, you guys get to keep any of that stuff like the tassos or the sticker albums or anything like that from the past?
Yes, I keep them.
I keep them all.
Yes.
It's
You,
very well hidden, but I will. It's like I'm a little treasure for me. I have not completed albums, not everyone. I just one full of them, but yeah, I had it yet. It's a
Oh,
treasure.
that's so good because like I lost all my stuff when I moved back to the United States.
No,
I had I had like we had the coloring books. Yeah, like coloring magazines of Saint Seiya, and I lost all of them. And I
Oh
lost also I had like an official
no,
Bandai official Bandai figure of Libra,
no!
I have.
and he was gone. He
Oh
was
my
gone.
god! Wow!
But over gotten some new stuff because like I had a little bit more disposable income, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll buy this. And I was like I was working at a mall at the time, and like when I was working at the mall, and I needed and we all kind of had like a little like the guys who worked at like the video game store and the toy store and all that stuff. We would like we all knew each other secretly. We would all talk to each other like in private. We're like, dude, if you got this, like give me like leave me one behind, and I'll let you take this and this and this, and like we would like just like secretly make deals between each other in the just like without our respective bosses knowing, and we would just get like stuff like discounted and stuff like that, and like we and for that I got a few also when they brought Saint Seiya to America as Knights of the Zodiac the first time. I got quite a few of those toys, like at like below market price, as they would say, like below what you would regularly would have to pay. But like I said, so like you guys touch upon your cosplays like earlier, and you guys were really involved with it, especially in your university. You guys have any like do you guys have any favorite costumes you guys liked working on?
Yes. I start to do my second cosplay that all my entire life of cosplayer. It was Marine of the.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite, I do a lot of things. I a lot of cosplays of Senseiya. My favorite, I think that it was the goddess Artemis of Tenkaichen because
Mm-hmm.
it's my favorite goddess. Even uh, even when I was a child, and I I think that that's the excuse that I use. That I say, "Oh my God, Artemis is now in Senseiya movie." So I made it, and I love the style, the design, etc.
Okay.
Yeah. And she is writing a story which implies the goddess itself.
Oh, that's
Now,
kind of
Exactly.
awesome.
now, so it is called Amazonomaquia. I'm talking about this. I'm sorry.
No,
And
no, it's all right.
well, I don't want to spoiler anything, but but Artemis has a very important part in that, and so that's why it's her favorite
All
goddess.
right.
I think mine, in my case, well, I did so many cosplays of Senseiya. I cannot count them. Uh, Most of them about Lost Canvas because it's my favorite spin-off. Um, I mean, I've made crossplay. That mean I play male characters
Yeah.
and I make cosplay and stuff with female characters. And
Got it.
I can say my favorite one is a crossplay, which is Hakure of Altar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
because yeah, I love first of all, I won I won a contest with them.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I had a very good respect, an international cosplay contest. So I'm very proud of him. Secondly, because it's a challenge because of the makeup. You
Mm.
have to
Exactly.
transform your face because movie and people has no eyebrows.
Mhm.
So
Exactly.
you have to make up everything, and you have to add a male feature and an old man feature. So
Yeah, I
because
was gonna.
Hakori is old, is an old man. So for me, it was one of my best works as cosplayer, and I'm very, very, very proud of them. I made everything.
The
I made
sword,
I made the sword.
the wig.
I costumed the wig, and I saw every part of the clothes, every part. And well, it was a competition cosplay, so it was made with very, very little details everywhere. And I don't know, I took care. I mean, I didn't mean that the other cosplays I did wasn't were made with love, but that one in particular was a challenge as an artist, a challenge as a cosplayer, an artist as a performer, because I had to do a performance. I had to create a dialogue that I'm basically I wrote a fanfic about an scene that doesn't exist, but I suppose it happened between Yang Xion and Hakure. So that scene, that was the one I made a completely scene with a performance in on
With the
stage.
dubber, with
Yeah,
actor, dubbing
yeah.
actor.
A friend of us, a voice actor, made the Hakure. I gave him the fan fiction, and he did the voice of Hakure because, well, a male voice was needed in that case, and they helped me a lot. I don't know. I was very proud of them. So that is my favorite cosplay of Sensei I had to now.
All right.
Uh, that's it. I would say that.
All right, that's so amazing. It's like I know a lot of cosplayers myself, and hearing these stories, like when they're in competition stuff like that, and hearing like what goes on and what they have to do is so fascinating. Like it's so good to hear like these stories about like what you guys had to go through and all that stuff. So I'm really happy you guys got to share that with us.
Mm.
Let's take a bit of a from like talking about like the about stuff in Argentina and a little bit about you guys, and let's talk like what you guys are observing from the English speaking side of the world, just really quick. Like how do you guys are feeling so far about how Saint Seiya is being shown here in America or here in English speaking worlds? Like, how do you guys feel about how it's been going so far from your observations?
Oh,
Mm,
it's a good
You
question.
mean
Uh,
how
the,
we?
Yeah,
Okay, Lala.
how do you ladies feel about how we're treating this franchise here in the United States?
okay.
Okay.
Well, that's a very interesting question because we only have a South American uh, view about
Mhm.
this. The impact Senseiya has here was very different in the entire world, I could say. It's
Yeah.
different in Europe, different in Japan itself, and different in South America.
Hmm.
Um, I we well as our experience of fans and speaking with other fans or fans that had the American experience there. Uh, Today, I will say, I mean, they had a very complicated beginning, the product itself. So maybe I noticed with the American fans that Senseiya was kind of confusing thing because
Hmm.
there was there has no clear order worse than in here.
Hmm.
Because here it came as a I don't know, a product that tells a story, for example, with same voices, some transmissions. Well, there was a story about this and that and that and that. But in America, I saw that it wasn't very clear. I don't know if it came with a kind of difficult kind of stuff because of the topic, because of the American culture is
Yeah.
different. It's different, so they can perceive the genre, the shonen genre as another thing, and I think it was a marketing, yeah, marketing group of
I
mistakes there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the wrong
Um,
people took the franchise and do a disaster, and when the time passed, it was
yeah,
very difficult to rebirth the experience
yeah,
because
yes.
different voices, different. I don't know. Yoga is a surfer boy. Oh, come on, guys, you how is that? Or I don't know. Uh, a
I
boy
just
whose power are of freezing, and this is not have any sense. So I think that the first step of Senseiya in North America, it was very
Messy.
accidentally
See, messy, messy. It was a mess.
messy.
Sorry,
It was a
sorry,
mess.
guys,
Yeah.
but it was a mess for us. But as we can see it, I think the best very example you can see now nowadays is about the first
Tem-
arc of Netflix of Knights of the
yes,
Zodiac.
exactly.
That is an example of what North America franchise went in the moment, and what what they want to do now. So the first arc of that story of Knights of the
mhm.
Zodiac, not the actual one. The actual one, the gold Saints part is really better because Crunchyroll took it. So thank you, Crunchyroll. But
Thank you.
yeah, but Netflix has the American way of thinking about doing marketing with some franchises, such as that kind of retro anime, and the results of that, it was a very mess story that didn't understand the spirit of the original story, and
Mm.
they created characters that were unnecessary, changes that are was unnecessary, like Shaun, for example,
Uh-huh.
because doesn't make sense. And in the original manga, Andromeda Shun is one of the most important characters, if not the
Mhm.
most important character, because
Yes.
we know how he ends.
Yes.
So,
Like what was I let's
I
not
think
say
that it
we don't
was.
want.
Uh, I think
yeah,
that it was a coward decision because
Yeah.
yeah,
if a week ago I saw an interview that Cesarin do to Sakura Rosa.
Mhm.
She is a executive producer of the series, and she told how the Netflix don't have anything to do with the gender change of Shaun. The only thing that Netflix do is only pay the rights for emission. After that,
Mm.
don't have any I don't know what is the word
possibility.
decisions decisions about the plot. No,
Yeah.
the plot idea, the change of the gender of Shaun is only for the writers.
Yeah.
The writers that they are from United States,
Yep.
Yeah.
and they thought even no not understanding the la obra,
The
the
story.
series,
The
Yeah.
story.
the story that it's a coward decision because took a boy with an armor pink. So this is not an explanation of why I change a gender of a character. I want girls and only boys. Oh, it's boring. No, it's not like that. Read the story to the end and understand the character and why is the
Oh
person
yeah.
that
Yeah.
I think that
Okay. No, continue,
yeah.
continue. Sorry,
No,
sorry.
no, no. That's the idea. It's just like
Yeah,
uh,
I think the misconception of United States about the franchise is deeper than you that we can talk here. But I consider that there is an cultural conception uh, about to be inclusive with some things, with some ideas, with some groups, with some
Yeah.
genres, with some, I don't know, variation, uh, that make them sometimes make them in a literal way. So
Yeah.
we have a group of protagonists that everyone is male. Well, we need a girl. Okay, why? Because we need a girl. But
Yeah.
why? We need a girl. I said we need a girl. We need a
Saori is a
black.
girl. Ah, no,
Yeah.
no, but she's a
We need it.
goddess. No,
We need,
don't
we need,
count.
we have I'm pretty sure it's like they said like look like marketing says we need to have a girl because marketing told us to.
Exactly. And we
Exactly.
the same way we sometimes in movies we need a black guy, we need an Asian guy, we need a Latin guy
Mm-hmm.
because said so because it's what it sells. So sometimes, unfortunately, uh, American culture has the really uh, bad attitude about that, and sometimes it ruins the story itself. The
Yeah.
reason which Shun has a role in the story of the manga Kurumada's original Senseiya is relevant, and the character is in that way because it has a purpose. It
Yes.
has a goal. It has a destiny, if you want to talk about destiny. And there
And
is a
another,
reason.
there's a role that
Yeah.
the masculinity of Shaun, it needs to be shown. It
Yeah.
needs to be there because in the time that the story was
Yeah.
writing, um, I thought that the boys seem each other like, oh, I can be a big boy, so I need to be strong. I no, how are you, why are you crying, why are you crying? No, Sean show
It's
us that the like a man you can cry, you can have show your feelings. So turn Sean to a girl is like no.
Understand
Um,
a thing about Sean.
yes,
that that that's what it says.
all right.
and they ruin the character itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will have to agree because like I will say this like in Shun as a character in the male one from the original anime. Yeah, it like his character. Yeah, he might be emotional, but like the series taught us over time. It's like it's good to have emotions. It's not good to hold it all in and to like let it all out. And there's arcs about that like at the very beginning where it's like you see like what happened when you hold it in anger and stuff like that. So
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. There's a purpose, and Kurumada do it in that way for a purpose, and
mhm.
to send a message about feelings of because Senseiya came from a very I don't know how to say in that time the shonen stories about they want to show values about friendship, about love, about trust, and one of the points of the characters of the protagonists there is to show um, several parts of a man, the ideal man. You have to be brave, you have to be noble, you have to be proud, you have to be sensitive, you have to be. I mean, every bronze saint as in the story as protagonist is a part of a ideal that Kurumada wanted to share to the youth.
All right.
They say you are look boys, look girls, you have to be a person which contains nobility, courage, trust, sensitivity, and I don't know, etc., etc., etc. Uh, that is the compos. I mean, that is how I I I can think we perceive it in here. No,
Yeah.
as we read the story, but in America, that message, I don't know, it was misunderstood.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
something, so some part of that message didn't reach to the culture or didn't get a right place. So they took the product and they say, okay, we don't know what the message is, but like it's a boy thing, so we are gonna make a boy thing with boys for
Okay.
boys. That's it. Okay. And then that is why I think Senseiya was really a mess in America, and that's why the impact they has as a product, it wasn't so successful as in here. So in here it came, I don't know, the message was, I don't want it to say that we have the answers and you don't, but I think we perceive the product in a different way because we are different culture, and values came with the. I mean, I think the translation here was essential. So the Mexican translation came here. I don't know. They had the mistakes, the funny mistakes, and their funny things
Mhm.
like Junini, for example. But
Speaking of which, I had to do. I'm working with Zeichi, and I'm working on his
Ah,
game. I'm working
yeah,
on his game of Saint Seiya, and I'm working on the English. I'm working on English translation, and I had to essentially rewrite all that stuff with the Junini stuff because
it
like
was
it would not make sense to an English speaker. So I had to do something very different with that character. So it's like
exactly.
so we don't have those weird things that so like 'cause here in the United States I think we're kind of like more straightforward with it, but I had to essentially just like I had to like rewrite the entire thing altogether to make it work to an English speaker.
yeah. That
Even even the name of our podcast, because there are a lot of people that told us, "Hey, but your name is not gonna be Duodécima Casa," because the the
it
translation
yes, it is not grammatically correct in Spanish.
Mm.
exactly.
The doceava casa, doceava, it is not correct, in fact.
Oh my god,
But
I've been saying it wrong all this time. I'm so
no, no,
sorry.
no, no,
No,
no,
no,
no, no,
no.
no, no.
It's
The
the
point is that
translation. The translation in the dubbing in Spanish,
yeah,
and
Uh-huh.
they tell the doceava casa, and it's wrong because it's duodécima casa. But
duodecima.
Oh, okay. Oh
But
but
no.
we took that mistake and we use it in our favor.
Yeah.
exactly.
That's the point because it's very symbolic. Okay,
All right.
because we introduced the translation we had here, the Mexican one, because it means a lot of us, and we know they had a lot of mistakes of grammatical, I don't know, about
Even
uh,
in ma.
yeah, about names, about phrases, about Hunini, for
Yeah.
example. But um, they turn into a symbolical childhood thing for us. So we preserve them. We
Okay.
love them. We
We
empower
celebrate
them.
them.
Yeah, we empower them. So that's why Doceava Casa is called Doceava Casa. So it's good. It's okay.
I was gonna say one last note for like the English speaking people who don't know like why the Gabriel Giannini and stuff like that. Gabriel Giannini, it's just a mistranslation of Gemini.
Yes.
So
Yes.
like I think the actor just I think either the actor said it like the actor said it wrong and they just ran with it, or the guy who was just cutting it all up was like I'm it's Friday. It's like 5:30. I'm not gonna even bother with this. So like I'm just gonna leave it in, and hopefully these kids don't pay attention.
Yeah.
So, but let's slow things out here. Let's talk a little bit about what you guys are expecting from the future. So, is there anything you guys are excited for in Saint Seiya in like the future?
Mm,
About the franchise?
Yeah, like
you see?
anything in general. Like, are you excited for the movie? Any of those new works that you guys are looking forward to? Just anything in general. You guys are like are you guys
We
excited for?
we have a date planned with Gala when the live action in release. It's just like I don't know. It's a night, ladies' night to
Yeah,
show them.
totally, totally, totally.
Trying to dress your best. Y'all wearing like really fancy dresses and stuff like that. I totally get you.
Of course, makeup and everything. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, or cosplay. We don't know,
Or
but
cosplay.
it's just
Or
a
cosplay.
ladies' night, and
Yeah.
we don't know if I don't know
Yeah.
if he
We,
can
we,
invade
we
some.
we are very excited in general because I don't know. This is a year that Senseiya, I don't know, was born again,
Yes,
and
I
there's
will agree on that.
Yeah,
a lot of manga, the live action. Bueno, the
the
codes,
concert, the two
yeah,
concerts in France and in Mexico.
friends
Yes.
in Mexico. Our friend Naisha de Dragon, who is a very, very, very popular Sensei fan here, who has a channel in YouTube, and he went exclusively to Mexico some weeks ago to see the concert.
Yes.
They had the fortune of that. They brought us gifts, so we love him a lot.
Yeah,
Okay, but well, there is a really new wave of Senseiya here about the franchise itself and about the a new fan generation too. And there is a lot of new spin-offs, two spin-offs running on now.
yeah.
Mhm.
Since Saintia Show, I think is coming back. I think
Yes, it is.
Hmm.
something. I don't know. Assassin is still running thing. Assassin G. I mean
Assassin
episode
Yeah.
G.
Assassin.
Yeah.
Well, we have that. We have the rise of Poseidon. We have well the Knights of the Zodiac. We have the live action. We have oh my god, a lot of things. So I don't know what happened.
We have Time Odyssey, and we also have what's the name of that one with the guy with the what's the name of that series? I keep on messing it up, but it's the one about the guy who becomes like the next Wyvern saint,
Yeah,
but he comes from another.
yeah, the Gakuen Sensei, I would say.
Yes, yeah,
Ah,
it's the
yeah.
isekai, the isekai.
I don't remember that
Isekai,
name.
the Isekai,
Yeah,
the
but
Isekai. It's really surprising because let's remember Senseiya has I don't know more than 30 years, 40 years.
like
Forty.
So
5 years.
Go to the 40.
for five.
Uh,
So it's amazing. It's amazing that's still alive, and it's very interesting that North America I mean, they are trying. I love you.
Uh,
They're trying to took the franchise again and to say, okay, let's take a brief again. And after the first arc, which was a disaster, let's make Crunchyroll has the magic and let's introduce Senseiya again to the new generation. So to see if it works.
yeah.
yeah.
I think this time, I don't know the consequences about my words here now, but
Hmm.
this time is working.
Yes, it is.
But
I will
it
say
will
that.
be working.
I will say that it's definitely working. People are asking more for like whoever's going to pick it up to pick up the original series. It also helps too that I've said this before, and I say this to like everybody who's listening from the United States that we have an app. We have an app that's called that has all the Shonen Jump series, like Dragon Ball, One Piece, just all that stuff. They finally put Saint Seiya in there too, and I'm really proud that they put that in. They finally put
Yeah.
Saint Seiya in English because it's been out of print for 10 years. And now it's so easily accessible. You can pay $2 a month and you get to read all of it and you get to read like whatever new series that's out there. Like you want to continue on the new Dragon Ball stuff with Dragon Ball Super, it's there. You want like one of my personal favorite series right now in Shonen Jump is Spy Family. It's on there. Chainsaw Man, another series I'm also following, that's on there too. You get all of them a week of, and you get Saint Seiya in English, and that's like it's such a good it's so good if you like the CGI series, the manga is right there, and it's so easily accessible for like any way to pick it up.
I think that is the reason Senseiya is working this time.
Hmm.
I mean the access of the original material is very important, and I say as we were speaking during all the interview, I think the first time since Seiya came to go well came north sorry went to America, um, was in the wrong way, was very
Yes.
messy, was very confusing, and was misunderstood, and were, well, bad interpreted about the people who bought the rights there,
Yeah.
and to the transmissions, and to rebuild the product, because North America has to the cultural the cultural habit to translate what they are talking about.
Hmm.
Okay, so okay, there's a story of guys. Okay, let's say a story of guys. And Japanese stories, they are very different, or they tell this to they tell your the message their messages in a different way, subtle sometimes. You can maybe, I don't know. I think they conceive black and white, bad and good guys, and Japanese stories and Japanese characters are gray.
Yeah.
So sometimes that is very difficult to translate, and if you have the habit to impose your vision and not to respect the original one, that the result could be Saint Seiya in North America 15 years ago. So
Yeah.
a complete disaster. So a different story. But here in South America, we had more the original product, and yes, the translation in Spanish, the Mexican translation, has the mistakes, of course,
Hmm.
but we learned from them in the future. But the mistakes didn't change the story itself.
Totally.
So that's why we receive the message, and we receive the original story more clear than American.
All right.
That's why that's I think that's the difference between the North and the South.
All right. Well, you know what? It's been a really, really fascinating interview. I'm really, really happy I'm really happy how this turned out. But I don't want to keep you guys. I don't want to keep you ladies like any longer here. And also too, it's like I don't I just want to make sure that I just want to make sure that I get that there's enough time also when I post this episode that we also have time to talk about like what we're gonna do. It might as well be. I might have to make this to its own separate episode altogether because like there's a lot of fascinating stuff that you ladies talk about, and I'm really, really happy and really, really fascinated by a lot of this, by a lot of what you guys are saying. So, so before we go, can you please share with us like everything you do, or like you give us like places like links and stuff like this? Like, tell us like where we can find you on the internet so they can so they can see all your works.
Of course, Gala.
Yes. And Gala, me first. Okay, so personal ones, and then the Doceava Casa ones. Personal ones. My name is Galatea de Negro. I think in the podcast we're going to name us like we said in the Doceava Casa. I have Twitter, listen name, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, everything.
All right.
And okay, so my works can be found in fanfiction.net,
Mhm.
.net now, and Wattpad. And I wrote about a character of Lost Canvas universe called Thais. Well, yeah, it's everything is in Spanish for now. I wanted to translate it into English, precisely to open up to the English community. So I'm trying. I swear I'm trying. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
And
You're fine. Don't you worry about anything at all.
okay, thank you. And then, well, I'm an illustrator, a professional illustrator now. I'm taking commissions, digital commissions and traditional commissions. I'm working from this 2 years ago. So you can find my illustrations in all the social media I mentioned before, on and my cosplays too. every cosplay we mentioned here, and my favorite ones, they are in my social media, so you can take a look, and you can add me as a friend and comment everyone you want to ask me about the characters, my commissions, my illustrations. Everything is open. So, well, and I'm part of Doceava Casa here. So
Hmm.
Doceava Casa his social media too. I don't know, in Twitter, in Facebook, in Instagram, in YouTube, and
Twitch.
Twitch. Twitch, TikTok? No, not yet, but soon. And
Yes,
well,
we have a TikTok, but I think that erased with my older cell phone.
okay, it's your account. Okay, so Rightness Medias are ta-dun-dun.
Dryness Media. You can find me. I have separate the accounts uh, of fandoms, Senseiya fandoms. It Amazonomaquia 1, no, with number, no, Amazonomaquia 1, number 1. Uh, in Twitter, Facebook, yes, Instagram. And if you want to see my work like cosplayer, you can go to in Twitter Big Soon with X, in Instagram Bichun Lee, in Facebook Bichun Lee either.
Okay.
I don't. That's all.
That will be all.
Alrighty, thank you so much. Thank you for sitting down with me and sharing your experiences from Argentina and also sharing your experiences as in the fandom and all that stuff. It's really good that you guys opened up, and I understand that that English is a very difficult thing to talk about, and especially when it's not your first language. But I do appreciate you guys took the effort, and I really really do appreciate you guys coming on here to the show and just like opening up to the world about what's about the fandom and like your journeys and stuff like that. I really am proud that you guys you guys are here and you guys got to explain a lot of it. So so with that said, if I might be with that I'm confusing my words here. So with that said, I'm gonna send it off to Ramses in the future to either sign off or just play us into the next segment. So Ramses, for the future, take it on.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting us. It was a really yes, it was a very hard effort to speak in English, but we are really, really happy to invite us and to open us this window for English community because we have a depth with you. So sorry about that and thank you.
All right. So
Thank you for invite us and for I don't know see our work and share with the community, the English community, the American English community. I don't know the perspective of our country, of our podcast. I don't know. It's very fun share our experience together.
And we're back. Yeah, so it was interesting. It's like it was interesting doing that interview with them like a couple of months back because I like they were really excited. They were really really enthused to actually do this, and they're really enthused to do this. And it tells you that even as far as like Argentina, there's a lot of fans from like all over the world that want to discuss things with the English community, and I want to give them more. I want to give those people more of a platform because my goal with Saint Seiya is. But I have multiple things with Saint Seiya. I have multiple goals with Saint Seiya. But for the English speaking like world of Saint Seiya, what I want to do is like I want to bring the fandom a little bit closer to everybody. I want the English people to speak with the Spanish people and stuff like that. I know sometimes things don't work out sometimes, like because different cultures, different people just don't jive with some things. But it's fine. But I just don't want us to be ignored. I don't want the English speaking part of the fandom to be ignored, and I also want the experiences of like other people from around the world to share their experiences with us as well. And this is one of the things that this is one of the great things about doing the show is like I can talk to people about this like their experiences, how they got into the series and what they do in the series as well. Recently too, and I forgot to talk about this on the stuff that we were on the show notes or the stuff like beforehand. But I also talked with Mal from the Aquario de Camus, and I said, hey, he asked me a question like, hey, what was your motivation of doing the Saint Seiya podcast? Well, obviously because I knew a lot of people who did a lot of podcasts, especially on stuff that was based on like stuff that like here in the United States is not that popular, like here like Detective Conan and whatnot. So I figured, hey, it just like I did the show because like there's no one that was doing it, And I just figured, like, hey, if you like, it's the old adage, if you build it, they will come, and slowly but surely, we've been doing that. So, and I do really appreciate that. I really do appreciate people like Mao, and I also do appreciate the Doceava Casa team for coming by, for talking about their experiences with the series and telling what they do and stuff like that. Again, I cannot stress this enough that you guys got to check them out, even though they do speak Spanish. They're really the nicest people, and like they are the nicest fans in the world, and like we're in constant contact with each other. Just most loveliest hosts you can ever speak to. So like I'll leave a link to like all their stuff that they do, because like not only are they podcast hosts, but they also do amazing cosplay as well. You may have seen a lot of their cosplay. I don't know how much more I can say, like how much more praise I can give these two amazing ladies.
They're pretty awesome. I actually follow their podcast, and I've been in touch with them from a couple of occasions on Twitter. They're pretty awesome. Like, you should check them out.
And I just want to say, from a personal aspect of me knowing very little Spanish, and trying to integrate into the fandom, because there is such a huge Spanish speaking population of Saint Seiya fans. Don't be afraid to interact just because you speak different languages. Almost all social media platforms have translation services, and I get comments a lot whenever I post about Saint Seiya stuff that are in Spanish, and I'm sure that that person is either multilingual, knows enough English to get by, or use the translation thing, and I can use the translation, the translator right back, and still hold on. It's not going to be a perfect conversation, of course, but it's a serviceable conversation, and it's enough to connect with other people. Like the language barrier seems intense and hard to overcome, but it's really not in 2022 as we approach 2023. So don't be afraid to post something, or if you see somebody post in Spanish, don't feel like you have to use a translator to respond to them, because those services are in place, and it's better to make an effort than to not do anything, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and like like I said, if you guys have any kind of problems or anything that you guys want, like you want me to communicate to the English speaking people, or to English to Spanish or Spanish to English, I'm here. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to say, hey, I'm willing to be like I'm willing to be the buffer between two people about that. And hey, like if it means our that our little circle can grow a lot bigger, perfect. So you mentioned earlier. You just mentioned a couple of seconds ago, Kamen Rider Furry, about 2022. Since this is going to be our last episode, I wanted to put this last question to you guys before we go. What was your favorite thing of 2022 that you enjoyed within Saint Seiya? Because why don't you go first?
Me?
You cut out. Sorry, who did you say?
I said okay. I said, Benjas, why don't you go first? As in, like, I said, like, hey, why don't we talk about our favorite things of 2022? Because your favorite things of Saint Seiya wise. I can speak about 2022 about the animes I watched and stuff like that. But Saint Seiya wise, what was your favorite thing of 2022?
Oh man, I have so many, because this year was really awesome for that for me. I mean, okay, I have three that I want to highlight. The first is giving the opportunity to join you guys, to be able to talk about something that I'm extremely passionate about, and that to be part of a project such as this one. Definitely being able to join you and have this conversation with you has been probably one of the highlights of my entire year, not just in Seiya wise, in general. Then I would have to say that not so much because of the series itself, but I would say that the CGI show, with all its ups and downs, and being actually having a reason to actually committing to watch it and have that context for the series, and also seeing how it has gone up and down, but in general up in quality, and seeing so many people, regardless of how they feel about it, just talk about it and bring attention to the series. That would be my second highlight, like the CGI show kind of revitalizing that conversation, for good or ill, but it revitalized it. And finally, I'm sorry, but this just has to be the number one spot. The Pegasus Fantasy concert was an experience that I will never forget. It was one of the best experiences of my life in for many reasons, and I am so glad that I was able to be there and to experience it firsthand.
Yeah, like we already recorded a podcast about that, and it's it's so amazing hearing about you guys' experience, and not just you, but also from like everybody else I've been hearing as well that have shared that experience. It just makes me so happy that you guys had experienced that firsthand, and like people like me and Kamen Rider Furry can see videos online, but I appreciate that's no different than just being within that arena, just listening to it live. I think I've said that before about that's like there's a huge difference between like us seeing it online and you experiencing it. So you experiencing it is just phenomenal. I'm really proud that you guys got to experience that firsthand. Kamen Rider Furry, your best of 2022 of Saint Seiya.
I mean, not to copy off of Benjas, but really joining the podcast. Listening to the podcast because I don't want to like stroke your ego because we're friends now. But like I listened to the podcast for a while before I reached out in any capacity, because I'm just Saint Seiya is one of the animes that was really important to me from childhood. But being able to join the podcast and have that as a window to meet other English speaking Saint Seiya fans, like I love all of our worldwide audience, but the English fandom is so fractured, and I can't tell you how many times I've mentioned Saint Seiya to somebody and they're surprised. They're like, "Oh, I didn't know anybody else knew about that," because it was only on Cartoon Network for a brief time, and it was after the big heyday, and kind of, in my opinion, in the wrong. It kind of came out at the wrong time. It should have came out back when Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball were blowing up all over Toonami and stuff like that. But I digress. The fans over here are so fractured that it's so important to have a place where everybody can come together, and whether people interact with us online or whether they just listen and they feel like they're like it sounds cheesy, but to feel seen because it's not a fandom that gets a lot of recognition. I think that that's really important, and I am so happy that I can be a part of that and that I can be involved in that. The other thing that I was really happy about that came out of this year, which is it might sound a little bit random, but I love the Banpresto prize game crane game figures, because one thing that has been a huge barrier for me with the Saint Seiya fandom is something that we actually talked about a lot in this particular episode, is the cost of the items that they release. Saint Seiya doesn't really do low end merchandise, like cheaper merchandise, and I don't mean cheap like poor quality. I mean cheap like costing. Even the things that don't cost a lot get jacked up in price in the secondhand market because it's in such high demand. So to have these widely spread out figures that were available on US websites, even like GameStop and Amazon and things like that, to be at cost, at retail cost of around $20 was amazing to me, and it makes me so happy. I have 4 of the 6 that have been released so far. The other 2 I'm working on getting, but to look over at the shelf to my left every day while I'm working, and like right now while I'm recording, and see a piece of Saint Seiya merchandise that I was able to acquire without hurting my bank account to such a degree that I might not be able to pay a bill this month is very, very, very refreshing to me. So I would say a good combination of Bandai sort of recognizing that there is a market for lower to mid-range figures, and becoming a more integral part of the community for the English-speaking side of this fandom were my 2 things for.
This is gonna be very, very difficult for me because if you Kamen Rider Furry knows this best, but when I was doing the show, I predicted that that the CGI show would never come back. I thought it was all but over with that show because of the radio silence and stuff like that. But that July 4th weekend was just like it reinvigorated my love for Saint Seiya again. Because not only did we get to see the CGI series, but for the first time, the manga was out of limbo. People can actually read the manga now. And I know you guys are. I know Kamen Rider Furry, he would rather have it physically, and that's perfectly fine. But finally, having the manga accessible to most people via the Shonen Jump app was, I think, the best piece of news I've heard in quite a while, because I honestly believe that the manga, despite its flaws, is a great place to go at a time when there's very little of the original Saint Seiya stuff out available, having it available as low as $1.99 a month is just phenomenal. Like that's like the best thing. That's like the best thing you can have. And it's like, you know, if you're, and there's so many other series you can check out too. And it's like, so it was one of those things where it's like, you come for Saint Seiya and you stay for like Chainsaw Man. That's what ended up happening with me. Or I say with Spy Family, which has been like my serotonin whenever I feel sad. Regardless, it's like it's having that access to that stuff like right on the fly. Like I just turn on the app and start reading it whenever I want. That for me, I think is like the best thing that people should be taking a little bit more note of. That's because since it's there and it's available and you can read it, and like, you know, despite the spotty translation at times, it's still one of the if they didn't really send the only thing that they put in, that the only thing that they had to like do changes with is just the name changes. They still retain a lot of like the blood and gore and a lot of those weird scenes that of the manga itself. So, you know, despite it coming from being a product of the Deke era, it still retained a lot of the original stuff that it was known for. So I'm really appreciative of that. And yeah, the TV show, the CGI show coming back, you know, whether we liked it or not, you know, hey, you know, that's a decision. That's a whole different discussion. I'm still kind of on the fences. I say it's getting better, but you know, we don't know what's gonna happen with season 3 and whatnot. And like I said, I already ruled the series as done. Like I did not think for 1 minute that the CGI series was absolutely done with, because of the radio silence. In reality, it's like it's just that's how the nature of how deals work, and I didn't put that in consideration. And well, here we are. Now we got done with season 2, and season 3 is coming. So, you know, hey, I can't wait for that to come to fruition. And other than that, you know, of course, doing the show as well. Like doing the show has been incredible. You know, when I started this show back in 2020, I was in a very different place mentally. And then like the pandemic happened, and then like I was not like prepared for it. But then talking to like people like Kamen Rider Furry, and then talk to other people as well, like our former hosts that we had before. They all, getting you guys in there at the start was really fun, and then you coming in as initially as like a pinch hitter, if you will, and then you just knocking out of the park, and now you're on full on rotation. You finally gave us something that we really needed, Benjas, which is consistency. We were able to, other than these last couple of days, and what happened with what's going to be happening soon. We've been consistent with all of our shows, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud that we got to do so much, and you know, we got to meet and talk to so many people in the fandom. You know, we got to talk to Marlene Sharp. You know, despite that interview being kind of weird, and you know, we didn't get that much answers. It was fascinating hearing her side of the story about what she went at her time working at a company, and then talking about the live action movie out from the San Diego Comic-Con panel with the people who were there. Talking to you, Benjas, and also talking to Pollux as well about the concert. You know, it's stuff like that. It's stuff it's stuff like we talking to the fans, just talking to everybody and bringing them all together, and just in one place was my favorite thing. Like that's, I think, like the best part. Like other than like doing the show is one thing, but you know, I always say, like, you know, one of the things I absolutely love is like I love talking about it. I just love like just being around people. Like I work better when I'm around people, and I do appreciate that you guys every week, except these last couple of weeks, for, you know, because things happen. You know, we think, you know, we were able to come back, you know, every 2 weeks, you know, we're on the dot. Like, you know, we had a set time, we had everything, you know, we got everything set, and like we got it out that later that Sunday, and like people are listening to it, you know. And like I said, I don't want to like inflate my own ego either or anything like that. But yeah, doing the show was, I think, one of the biggest highlights as well. But in terms of like actual like things of like Saint Seiya wise, like those two things would be like the return of the CGI show, and then putting it out, the manga on the Shonen Jump app, was, I think, like the biggest like within fandom type of thing. But yeah, I mean, that's about it for practice. Is the end of the show for this year, you know. Is there any final things you'd like to say before we go for like until 2023, guys?
In my case, all I would have to say is that I hope, for the listeners, and for you guys as well, I hope that you have a wonderful holidays. Whatever you practice, whatever you believe, whatever you do in these times, I hope that you have a wonderful time. I hope that the next year comes, and while I'm sure it will have its ups and downs as well, like any other year. Hopefully, the ups will be good for everybody here listening and for us as well. I think it's going to be a very strong year as well. 2023 is definitely going to give us a lot to talk about because there are many things coming that will probably direct the way that the franchise moves on with the conclusion of Next Dimension and other stuff. Probably new projects will be coming as well. The movie, like there are a lot of things to look forward to, and I think that there will be a lot of good things to look forward to in 2023. So I think it will be we will have a wonderful year to have new topics and discussions about.
All right, for any final thoughts on 20 before you leave, like in general, any last message, any last thoughts, anything last thing you want to discuss?
I just want to again thank everybody that listens, everybody that interacts. The people that don't interact, thank you as well, because I completely understand being and like there's all kinds of like anxiety and things like that, and even something as simple as sending a tweet can be anxiety inducing. So you don't feel like you have to interact, but I'm very thankful that we are seeing people's reactions to episodes, people making memes about us sometimes, which was something surreal that I've never had happen to me before. But just everybody just being so positive, because at the end of the day, we're just three people sitting on various points of the planet talking about an animated children's television show. It's really not that serious. It's supposed to be fun. And that's the energy that we try to emulate. And I'm so glad that it's coming across to people that at the end of the day, we're not taking it very serious. Well, I mean, we take it seriously in that like we're going to be professional about it, but not so seriously as in like we're not afraid to have jokes. We're not afraid to analyze something that we love in a critical way, and people are responding fairly positively. I would say almost entirely positively to this, and it makes me excited. It makes me feel much less dismal than I did, I would say, at the beginning of this year before I started this journey on this podcast. I didn't have the most positive outlook for the Saint Seiya fandom in English speaking countries because I had attempted to show it to people. I had attempted to talk to people about it before and had come up empty handed for the most part. So it's nice to know that there's people out there, and though our numbers aren't strong, we're all really supportive of each other. And we all want the same thing, and that's for this to be successful, for Bandai and Toei to pay attention to us in English speaking regions occasionally. And I think that the only thing that can come out of this is positive by talking about it and by reminding everybody out there that we exist and we want to be a part of the fandom and we want to be integrated into everything just like everywhere else. So it's been a very positive experience here, and I'm very thankful to have been a part of this so far. And I hope that next year, like Benjas says, we're not going to be running out of things to talk about anytime soon. I mean, we still got another like 60 episodes or 50 episodes to go in the basic series. We've got another season of the CGI show coming out. We've got plenty of toys and the movie whenever they decide that's going to be released. So there's going to be plenty for us to talk about next year. So I'm thankful that we have done the groundwork now so that we can have fun next year when we come back.
Yeah, and I'm just happy that that a lot more people are being a lot more receptive to what we're doing. There's a lot more upswell to what we're doing, and like I just want to continue this. I just want to continue this upswell. That's all I want. Like even though we're gonna take a break, I do hope that people do listen to like the earlier episodes and do share this episode. They do share it, and I'm gonna try to do my best to like make it more widely available as well, and try to be available at more different places. And like I said, like I won't be completely either. I won't be completely taking a break either. Like I am gonna take a break for personal reasons for a couple of weeks, but after that, like once that's done, I'm gonna be like full throttle doing stuff behind the scenes. It's gonna be a different show from what you're listening to right now. That's all I'll say. It's like we're already putting things in place for 2023 that I'm really happy about. I'm really proud of, and I'm really excited to tell you guys. But Unfortunately, unfortunately, a lot of those plans were scrapped, and now, but as we look forward further on to 2023, I cannot wait to share with you guys what I have planned. Okay.
I can't wait for you to share with me what you got planned. I'm just kidding. I know. I think.
For the most part, I think I told you most of the things. And I haven't told you guys. I haven't told you guys the part where I put your brains in a jar, and you guys are eternally my co-host for the rest of your lives.
I ain't got even started, dude. Like,
but all joking aside, we better head out here. Benjas, is there anything you would like to promote? Anything you would like to tell us that you've been up to, that you would like to inform us, the fans, to check out?
Well, yeah. If you are interested in checking, I retweet a lot of Saint Seiya related stuff, a few other things as well on my personal Twitter account. If it's still there by the time we return next year, but okay, for the time being, assuming that it is. Follow me. Check out my Twitter, which is at Mexican Geek 502. I also have an Instagram account where I intend to. Well, I have posted my first draw illustration. I intend to do more illustrations in the future. I am working on one right now, but I am slow. I'm as slow as a slowpoke. So do bear in mind that it'll probably be like it's not gonna be updated too often, but I will be putting stuff there. My Instagram, it's follow me. It's Crateris Benjas. So be sure to check that out. And finally, there is something that I'm working on, but I don't want to say any details until I actually. I'm just started working on it, and until I think I have more substantial things, I would not like to just get high hopes until I think I have more work put into it. But I am working on something, and I do intend to put it out, and you'll be hearing about it. So be sure to follow me to find out what that is.
Alrighty then. Kamen Rider Furry, anything you like to promote before we go?
Yeah. So you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Kamen Rider Furry. I need to start working on my Instagram a little bit more. I haven't posted there in a little while. I update my stories more frequently than anything else, but I will work on that, especially because who knows how much longer Twitter has on live support. Well, I'm hoping that we can get over this because I do enjoy the more personal feel that Twitter has. But anyway, I digress. Maybe by the time we come back from our break, the vacuum for the next social media will be filled, and we can promote some other things. But for now, I also have another podcast that is called Ancient Anime that comes out every other week. The previous episode, I had my first ever celebrity guest on, and we talked about Pokemon the movie 2000, which was super fun.
I listened to it. That's so much. That was an incredible episode. I really loved it.
It was so weird because I don't have a lot of furry friends, and Astrid Aurelia from Dragula, which Dragula Titans is airing every Tuesday on Shudder, I believe is the app that it's on. But I digress. Like I never really talked like voice to voice with another furry really before because it's such a niche fandom that I just don't have a lot of furry friends. So it was really like surreal to like make jokes about this Pokemon is hot or something like that, and the other person be like, you know what, you're right. And I'm like, oh, whoa, what? But anyway, the next episode is going to be completely different. It's going to be with my best friend, oldest friend, I guess you could say. I've known her since I was a teenager, a little annoying thing, and we are going to be talking about Ghost in the Shell, which will be really fun. This is her first time doing anything podcasting, and she did so much research and was just so knowledgeable. It's one of her favorite movies, and there were times in the episode where I just stopped talking and just let her talk because she just loves the movie that much. So it's going to be another really fun episode to listen to. And we've got maybe 2 more that'll come out before the end of the year, and then I'm going to take a break in January, so that I don't get burnt out from both podcasts at the same time, because the Cosmocast may come back mid-January, sometime around there. So I want to have that month off so I can dedicate that month to number 1, relaxing, and number 2, making sure that our comeback here is strong and fun.
And also, too, you got to prepare for the other podcasts we're doing as well.
Yeah, so I'm not half-assing anything, basically, is what I'm saying. But yeah, I'll let Ramses promote that other podcast, even though it was my idea, and there's vocal record of it on one of the random episodes of Cosmocast. I will let him take credit for it.
No,
I'm
no,
just
I'll
teasing
give you
you.
credit. I'll give you credit.
I'm just teasing you. But no, like, go ahead and follow me. I love talking about stuff. I've been live tweeting both Dragula and RuPaul's Drag Race because there's always a season of Drag Race, so that's fun to do as well. But yeah, love interacting with you guys, and keep the memes coming. That's been my favorite part of this experience. So make more memes.
All right, so of course if you don't follow what I do, you can follow me on Twitter at L_Ramses. I pretty much talk about everything, usually about like what I'm playing, what I'm doing in life. I've been a little less active. I've been mainly because like I've been staying up at weird hours in the morning watching like football, soccer. It's like I'm an insane man when the World Cup pops up So yeah, so like it's that weird time every 4 years where you're gonna hear me talk about sports ball relentlessly. So if you're into that sports ball, then hey, if you're into the footy as well, you go follow my Twitter at L_Ramses. I have another podcast called the Saturday Morning Squadron. Our last episode we had a rather lengthy episode about Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. We discussed a lot of things and we went into like a lot of personal things as well. So if you want to get a little more in depth and talk about me talking a little bit about my life and stuff like that, you're more than welcome to check that out. It's at satamsquad.tumblr.com. The address is satamsquad.tumblr.com. We in Kamen Rider Furry, we're gonna start another podcast called Sailor Moon Says. It's gonna be a Sailor Moon podcast dedicated to the Deke era of Sailor Moon. We're hoping we can launch this in 2023, hopefully around the same time that we come back. But it's depending on how things are going. But yeah, things are looking up so far. Unfortunately, like I said, because of complications. Like I was gonna do something earlier, but now unfortunately, all my plans I have to wait until I come back, and I'm 100% ready to commit to this. So. Yeah, when that comes up, I will be sure to like post it on our Twitter, which is at Seiya Cosmocast on Twitter. And I believe I secured us I finally secured us on Hive. I secured Cosmocast. So hey, we're first at the gate to get the Cosmocast name on Hive. So thumbs up all the way. If you want to know more about what we do, before that, like I mentioned earlier, and I keep forgetting this, is that I was on Aquario de Camus, a show hosted by Mao. Mao was supposed to be on our SECC episode, but unfortunately, complications with his connection with his mic caused it. So that didn't happen, unfortunately. So you can catch me if you want. It's apparently in Spanish, but if you want to get the gist of it, find me. I'm usually lurking on the comment section if you need like translation or you want me to give you like the gist of the interview. I'm always willing to like help out like the people to like give it a listen. Also, too, if you're there from that podcast, you want to listen to it, please please speak up, and I would love to hear from you guys as well. We have a website, www.scosmocast.com. Again, the address is scosmocast.com. You can find all of our show notes, all of our information about the host, and just where you can listen to, and all that good stuff as well. So just give that a listen. And I believe we secured also because the last time we had this, it was kind of weird. Because like I do understand that a lot of people do listen to it on YouTube. So what it is I kind of did that thing where you can put a short name. So it's like that youtube.com at Ramses Project, because it's not just the podcast, but all my other like YouTube stuff that I post as well. So if you want to check out the episodes on YouTube and also check out like what I like other stuff I might be putting up, it's at youtube.com/at Ramses Project, and I'll post a link to that on our show notes as well. I hate to say this, guys, but I have to say goodbye for 2022, guys. Thank you so much for listening, guys. I really do appreciate it, especially in this time where I really need to be with someone and just get my mind off a few things. So I do appreciate all of you guys listening to this show, and I do hope that everybody has a wonderful 2022 and have a wonderful 2023 as well. I will see you all hopefully in January of 2023, pending whatever happens, knock on wood. So, for me, I'm Ramses, for Benjas, and for Kamen Rider Furry, I'm here to tell you all, burn that cosmos, and I'll see you all in 2023. Bye!
Bye.
Bye.